on my mind. Hello and welcome to episode 45 of the award-winning combat sports podcast, The Boxing Show. With me, your host, Rob Tebbutt. As always, like to remind everybody to please like, comment and subscribe. Turn your notifications on for more boxing content. Now that's out of the way, I am joined by the usual twosome of Mr. Barry Jones and Mr. Andy Clarke as we review this past weekend's action and look ahead to Dalton Smith versus Jose Zepeda this weekend. How we doing, chaps?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah.
Barry,
Good.
You look very baby faced today.
I shaved.
Very fresh.
Good, I've actually, cause I've always had a bit of like a beard or stubbly or something like that for years now, and I shaved it off the other day. It's because when you get older, you get fatter in the face, and then it just looks fucking weird. Like a half peeled potato. And yeah, so anyway, I've done it, right? And that's where I am now. I'm gonna try and be clean cut, and I'm gonna have yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm on about, but I watched the podcast back the other day, so I've invoiced you for it. Okay, yeah. I thought I'm not doing it and watching it as well, so I've had to charge you extra for it. I don't know. I can't see why we won so many awards. Like to be fair, I did only it was
win
mediocre.
one. We're not actually getting a trophy, which is terrible.
I think I'm really funny. I didn't realize how funny I was. You're not so funny. You're funny, but not purposely.
Just like laugh at you, funny.
Just to look at, like
yeah. Sort of funny looking.
Yeah, but apart from that, it was pretty good. And the prediction part's the best because it's fucking awful. Isn't it?
I think we've had not a bad week this week though.
It was good. Yeah, you were happy about your performance of the weekend on the prediction league, weren't you?
Yeah, I think I think the draw between Heaney and Brad Pauls was maybe the only one I got wrong out of the five. I was thinking on Saturday night, trying to remember what I predicted. And when Liam Davies won by stoppage, I didn't think he was going to do it that early, but I remember thinking, oh, that's good because I don't think many people picked that. Joyce closed it out really late on. Again, I thought, okay, that's working. And then it was a split draw for the main event, which, busted my coupon.
There was a few sickos who actually picked that as well, and they got I think one guy got everything right apart from he went with Liam Davies by decision, but he did pick the draw in Heaney versus Pauls.
I mean, you should get a bonus point for picking a draw.
You get 10 points for picking a draw, 5 points for correctly picking the winner and the outcome, and then 2 points for correctly picking the winner.
The draws, not as many happen, do they, as you think they might, because it's always really attractive odds-wise. You can generally always get about 22 to 1 on a draw, can't you? And you look at a fight and you feel sometimes like you should get more of them, but at the same time, you get a lot of near misses, but you don't get many that actually land squarely on the draw.
Yeah, although we've had 2 in 2 weeks now.
We have.
Nick Ball and Ray Vargas, and of course Nathan Heaney and Brad Pauls at the weekend. But anyway, we do have quite a lot to get through because we keep yeah, we do. We've got a preview this weekend because what we've been doing in the last few times, we've gone right. We're going to review this weekend and preview this weekend, and then just talk shit for 2 hours, and then we don't get a chance to preview anything.
That's what happens.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start on this weekend's Magnificent 7 show, Barry in Birmingham. It was magnificent, the show, not Birmingham. Shout out Birmingham. But let's start at the top and work our way down. Nathan Heaney successfully retains his British middleweight title with a somewhat, in some instances, contentious split draw. How did you see the fight?
No, I thought he just won, but only just. I didn't score it. Like I don't use your app.
He does use the app, and you can download it now on the App Store and the Play Store.
I want to do that.
He does. He loves the app.
Why would I want to do that?
Anyway, come on.
I'm not involved.
Come on.
But anyway, I was watching. I thought he just did enough, but it was close. You can't. It was close enough to argue. I mean, he had a good start and a good run up, and then and Brad Pauls pulled it back at the end, and maybe he'll wish he maybe pulled the trigger a little bit earlier. Right? But he's awkward, Heaney. We always say, if Pauls would have started a bit faster because he had the power and he could hurt Heaney, but Heaney's got really those long arms. He's really what I like about Heaney. Certainly, he showed it in the Bentley fight, and again early in this fight, he's quite disciplined with what he does. He looks a bit gamely, but actually there's a method behind it. He's constantly moving. He's always throwing that jab in your face, consistently in your face. It lacks power, it does, and he pushes his punches a little bit. But he's just because he sits back on the back foot. He's hard to hit clean quite often, and he just outwork you at times. And you've got to get past those long levers. But you have got to just quicken your feet up, and Brad Pauls didn't do that. But when he slowed down a little bit, then he was able to show a little bit of force. But yeah, it was a good fight, and I always thought it'd be a good fight. I never thought, nowadays people just go with the name you know. But I've seen Brad Pauls before a few times, and I always thought he was a good fighter, and just lacks a little bit of that X factor, I feel. But no, he's not bad. He's just the Tyler Denny, the European champion, and Heaney, the British champion. They're not bad losses when you think about it.
Draw. One of them was a
draw. Yeah, but nobody should have lost, I thought. Yeah, a draw, that's right. So I mean, it's not. He's not. No, he's there or thereabouts, isn't he? And I think in the rematch, which I think will and should happen, because it was a good fight to watch. The finish was fantastic. It wasn't a great fight to watch. It was a decent fight to watch, but the finish was brilliant. It really was down to the wire, and that's sort of that's what you need at like 1 o'clock in the morning. No, it was a big build, and it was always going to go late. But it was a good fight. I enjoyed it, and I thought he just did enough. But if it would have gone the other way, or the draw, I didn't argue with the draw. Cause I did think he closed the gap. Pauls. Dragged that on, didn't I? Dragged that on longer than the fight.
All good. Only 6 more fights to go. Andy, you also scored a draw as well as I did. I had it 114 at the final bell, of course, using the Boxing News live scorecard app. Yeah, Barry just mentioned there about Nathan Heaney, Brad Pauls against Tyler Denny. I think it's fair to say didn't really do himself justice that night. Kind of let the occasion get to him, I think it's fair to say. Didn't do that this weekend, and indeed did finish very, very strong, and had Nathan Heaney in big trouble towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, he did. I commentated on that fight against Tyler Denny, and I'd seen him box a few times. I did his fight against Ryan Kelly, and I've been to the gym to see him and Linus Sadofi and Terri Stewart a couple of times. So he's someone I knew a little bit about, and watching that fight against Denny, I knew that he would really regret it because he didn't box how he normally boxes, and what he normally does is what he did on Saturday. He's aggressive, he's very fit, he can take a shot, and he just second-guessed himself against Denny and lost on points but didn't really do anything. But heading into the weekend, I felt like that experience would be really valuable for him, because I know that he would have looked at that and just thought, that is never happening again. That kind of performance where you don't play to your own strengths because you're worried about the step up and you feel like you might need to do something clever and different. He's made that mistake once already, so I knew he wouldn't do that on the weekend, and he definitely didn't do that. And it was funny because I did score the first half properly and had him 4-2 down at that point. I think Richie would have had 5-1, which again I could see that. The second half, I wasn't able to watch it as closely as I would need to kind of officially score it, if you like. And at the end, my feeling was that Heaney had probably just about done enough. But then when I looked at the final 6 rounds and did just score them anyway, I had a draw. And the big round wins were Pauls. Obviously, they still counted 10-9 like all of Heaney's. But round 8 and round 11, he had him bang in trouble. Really did. And it was a really good fight. I really enjoyed it, particularly the second half. I did get the feeling quite early that although he was getting hit quite a lot, Brad Pauls had kind of realised that there wasn't an enormous amount of power there from Heaney, and that he would fancy his chances of being able to not just walk through it, because that's never a great plan, but it looked to me like he was encouraged enough by that it was going to get interesting, and it definitely did.
It definitely did. Barry, and he's just mentioned their rounds 8 and 11 for big rounds for Brad Pauls. Just want to draw your attention to the 8th round in particular, where Heaney's gum shield came out, which caused a lot of kind of discussion, should we say, on social media. Obviously got additional time to recover in that moment. Part of the sport, unfortunate, gamesmanship.
It happened to me. I knocked that Freitas down. He spat his gum shield out. Clearly went like that, and he gets an extra seconds, and otherwise I would have beat him. I would have got finished a bit earlier. I would have gone earlier night. would knock me out quicker. But it's if it isn't. Listen, whether it goes out on purpose or accidental, then it gives you that invaluable time to recover. Because those seconds, and I'm only talking about 3, 4, 5 seconds are enough. Sometimes you take that extra 3 or 5 seconds, not just that extra 3, 4, 5 could be 10 seconds, is more than enough to recover enough to get to the corner, or just to find your feet to fully recover again. It's just enough, because when someone's first really hurt, they can't find their grounding, and that's where you get them. That's when you hit them. When you hit them and you're spinning them around, and then you catch them with shots they don't see, and that's what knocks them out quite often. So those moments are pivotal. And when someone loses a gum shield, I think you should, like you just said, you got to let that fight continue. I don't know the exact rules.
Just wait for a lull in the action.
A lull in the action, but and so there was a lull in the action. But I think in that scenario, you got to let it go. But then the gum shield's there to protect you from, I don't know what does it protect you for? Swallowing your own teeth, or something.
Swallow your tongue, to protect your jaw essentially more than anything else. Because what it does is it kind of dissipates the power along the jawline rather than it being concentrated in one place, and it protects the rest of your mouth from your own teeth.
I used to wear a double one. I did. I just loved it because it always like that.
You've got to keep your mouth closed if you've got a double one, haven't you? That's
calm down.
Just getting one for the pods. But anyway, gum shields.
Yeah. So I think it was a bit bad luck. I don't think it was intentional from him, though. It did come out again
3 times, I think it was, across the.
But you got caught with a good shot, though. Let's be fair. Yeah, but that's part of the sport. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Sometimes someone gets caught in the ropes. When they throw a punch and they get caught, just things can happen. But yeah, it took away a bit of momentum from what could have been the finish for him, possibly. But yeah, things like that happen. I don't think it was. I don't think at that moment Heaney's thinking, I'll spit my gum shield to save me time. He didn't sort of go down and then go and spit it out like my guy did. No, but yeah, it just come out. He just got knocked out of his mouth by a really good shot. So yeah, but it's I think it played a big part in what could have been maybe the downfall, possibly Heaney. But that's what makes the sport so great, isn't it? You look back now and you go, that wouldn't have happened, this would have happened if I would have started a bit earlier. Heaney would go off, I'd just be more disciplined in the later rounds, and that's what makes the sport so fascinating, because little things like that can make a huge difference. But I think Paul's he'd be disappointed he didn't get the win, but he'd be happy that that he's shown that he can. As Andy said, he can dig in when he has to this time, because he maybe did let himself down against Tyler Denny. Though Denny's a hard man to fight against. There's 2 hard guys who are really hard to fight against. One's really awkward, one's just 100 miles an hour in your face. So it's but he knows now he can dig deep, and he can finish a fight strong. That's very important, because sometimes you keep stuff in reserve because you're not quite sure you're gonna, especially early in your career when you start to do 12 rounders, how you're going to cope in 9, 10, 11, 12. They're the rounds that you really feel. 9, I always found round 9 really hard, because you're in the middle, you're in no man's land there. You're too far away from the start. You're too far away from the finish. So you can't just go in 100 miles an hour and go for it unless you're a huge puncher. You can take that risk, but you still got to try and manage the fight, but there's the end is not in sight. When you get to round 10, 11, then you can see the finishing line at some point. It's still a long way away. You can see it. Now 9 rounds a horrible round. I always struggle with that, but he'll know now that he can put his foot on the gas. He can push the pace. So I think he becomes a better fighter from Saturday night.
Rematch, Andy? Do anything for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're the board of control, why wouldn't you order the rematch? Because it was a close fight. I think. Was it 69% of people on the app who scored it had Heaney, but there was no kind of uproar around it, because I think there was probably quite a lot of people like me who's watched it and thought, yeah, Heaney's probably done enough. And Richie scored it 7-5 Heaney. Richie's good at scoring fights, Richie Woodall, and he wasn't saying, look, this is definitive, but you just think to yourself, I didn't really see anything to particularly argue with in anything he said. I just had one round different to him, basically. So that was probably what led me to think at the end, yeah, Heaney's probably got it. But then when it was a draw, I think a lot of people thought, actually, yeah, I can see that. So perfect grounds to do it again. I think Paul's will be bang up for a rematch. I'm not saying Heaney won't, but there is a kind of plan there, I think, which presumably would be to get him ranked, if he's not already, with one of the sanctioning bodies, and then get him that world title fight outdoor at Stoke. That seems to be the idea. And that timeline, that may not include a rematch with Brad Pauls, in which case he would vacate, I guess. Which doesn't seem especially likely when you think about it, a champion vacating after a split draw in his first defence. But if there are bigger things at play, it could happen
potentially. But one would also think that Heaney, you saw how much the British title meant to him, that he wouldn't want to give it up for something.
No. I wouldn't have thought so either, unless something very persuasive is put in front of him.
Which is what Barry's about to say.
I wouldn't go anywhere. I mean, we've seen a couple of fighters and fights on Saturday that showed why you shouldn't rush to go somewhere. Like, there's an urge to rush and step over levels, and when you're a ticket seller or marketable or whatever, good looking the guy was, then you get pushed to the forefront, understandable. But I mean, it just shows the dangers of that, and I think he needs that. He's not a world class fighter yet, and I really like you, Nathan. No, it's not a degradation. It's just not everyone can be a world class fighter, even in this era when you can engineer yourself to a world class level, but he's not, and he might never be, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. He was just happy to win a British title, but I understand once you win that, that's not enough. And to fill up Stokes football ground, you got to fight for a world title. You would feel, but I'm not quite sure that's any good for him. I think this is his level. No, European level, British and European level is pretty much the same now, isn't it? The Tyler Denny's European champion, and that would seem like a natural fight them two. I would say that much. Where, because no one thought Tyler Denny was going to be there where he is now. So it's fantastic that they're both like British and European champion, and really no one ever seen them being that. So that's the wonder and the beauty of the sport. But to talk more about fighting for world titles, either one of them right now is a bit crazy, and I think that fight showed Nathan Heaney, though he was the one they're being pushed to move on because he's a massive ticket seller and a great story, that this is where you belong. This, for now, might always be, but for now, certainly, this is where you belong. You step out to where you are now, then you're going to get hurt, I think. I think that's fair to say. Listen, I've been there and stepped out of my level and got really hurt. It happens. Just depends. Some people's levels are higher than others, and some are not. It's fine, but I think he's British level. Eat what's on your plate. He sells loads of tickets. He's great to watch. He fills up arenas, or mostly of parts of it. He's a fantastic crowd. He's great TV. He's good to watch. For a guy who can't punch, not a big puncher, he's good to watch because he's high energy. He's in good fights because he's not technically great at everything, just pretty good, decent at most things. Puts him in exciting fights because he's boxing at his level against people who are almost as good as him, or just not quite as good as him, or better than him maybe. And he just beats him because he has more energy or more will to win, or whatever it fucking is. It's oh, by the way, last week I swore so much. You got to rein me back. It's ridiculous.
I cut some of them out.
Did you? Oh, don't fucking start doing that. No, but I mean, stay where you are. And if it means you can't fill a football ground, that's your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's good where he is. I mean, if he steps up beyond where he is now, then I don't see him having much success. I'm not saying he shouldn't fight for the world. You get a world title shot, you take it with both hands, and don't worry about what anyone says, anyone thinks. And if you're going to get hurt, you take your opportunity for the rest of your life. You've been a world title challenger, but you want to get there and be good enough to win it, or compete at least. I think that's the truth, and he's nowhere near that. And there's no shame in that. He should be proud of what he's done and what he's still doing. He didn't lose. But the rematch is great for us to watch. But I don't think he'll want it because he got the titles. His pride will want it. But I think he'll want to move on if he can get a European title shot. I don't know how that would. Well, with the cross promotions of everyone now working together, hand in hand, the unity around British boxing.
Danny's got Felix Cash. Danny's got Felix Cash, hasn't he? A Matchroom won the purse bid for that. So that was what I read fairly recently. Nothing's been announced around that. I mean, that's a really good fight.
What?
Don't.
What?
Go on.
Well, no, I was going to say, a few years ago, you would have gone, oh, that's just a walk in the park for Cash.
Yeah.
No, Denny's a favourite. In my book.
Yeah, because he's got momentum, hasn't he?
Have to say, yeah.
Felix has had a lot of problems outside the ring and hasn't boxed much, and
when he did,
we'll have to wait and
see
what. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I've always really liked that. They won their titles on the same night last November.
Yeah.
Heaney won his British, Denny won his European, and I remember thinking immediately, because we had a great crowd in Wolverhampton that night. Heaney's got his Stoke fans. those two, it's just a fantastic collision.
Close enough as well.
Yeah, really close. Sure, it'd be fantastic. But there's a lot that would need to happen now before that could happen, because Heaney would need to keep that British and Denny would need to keep that European. And you're right. Like he's that. I didn't think he beat Bentley to win the British title. I thought him winning a British title that could well be that would be a fantastic achievement, and that would be his ceiling, really. And it might prove to be. It's a very, very good ceiling. Absolutely. If that is the case. He's just a very interesting case study, isn't he? Because he has got this support and he's had it for a long time, and it's always been kind of assumed, like Barry said, that he would be able to make that big leap up in terms of taking 2,000 or 3,000 everywhere he goes, to selling. Stoke City's a big ground. I've been there quite a lot, to selling 20,000 at least to make it worth going outside, and that is a
huge ask, isn't it?
Massive difference.
And he'll need, as we spoke off camera, he'll need a world title for that. Yeah. I think, and I'm not quite sure he's ready for that.
No, well, yeah. I mean, I agree.
Whoever's world champion, by the way, whoever you're picking,
but it's as you've said,
and it's just Tyrone Zeuge.
Yeah, but it's as you said, if you get offered that and you're him, you got to take it.
Oh, you take it, of course, because it changes your life forever, doesn't it? And you might just win. Listen, you never know in this sport. You're looking at one.
Right, okay, moving on. Second fight we want to discuss from the magnificent 7 card. We're not going to do all 7. We do sometimes.
I watched all 7 just for you.
We do sometimes get people go, "Oh, you didn't talk about my fights." I mean, we didn't talk about like a lot of fights of the weekend, please. But anyway, Liam Davies, Andy, going to come to you as I think the only person on here who predicted a stoppage win for Liam Davies against Eric Robles Ayala. And what an unbelievable performance that was. What a stunning shot. First, the right uppercut in particular for the first knockdown. And it's another performance from Liam Davies where you look at it and you go, I wonder how good this guy can really be.
Yeah, and that's what's really interesting about him, because it was an optimistic prediction, that, and it wasn't based on any particular science. It was just due to the fact that he's got great momentum behind him. And we look at fighters from recent years who we talk about a lot, like Warrington and Bilham Smith, who did it that kind of way, where not much was really expected when they turned pro, and they would step up a level, win a title. People would think that could be them, then step up to the next one. People would doubt them, and then they just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And both became world champions. Both have got good local fan bases. And Davies has got all of those things. I remember he boxed on a Sky show during lockdown, and I just liked him from the start because it's near where I grew up, Telford. I come from just down the road, just Richie Woodall territory. I followed Richie really closely when I was a kid because he was boxing, just a few miles away and doing really, really well. So there's always been a lot of support for boxing there, and he's kind of made that. He's boxing in Birmingham on the weekend, but Telford for him has become a real fortress, a real kind of home stronghold, and he's good to watch. And yeah, this is the fascinating thing now. How high can he go? He has a problem at world title level in his division currently, but for how much longer, who knows? The timing there could be really good. Just as he gets to that, in a way, might wave goodbye to super bantam and step up to featherweight, because you'd imagine he will do that after his fight against Lewis Neary. You'd think probably.
Potentially, there's talk of him.
Lewis Neary, that's a great. I can't wait to see that.
The Lewis Neary fight's fantastic because they've lifted his lifetime ban just so nobody can knock him out.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
You can come back, but only if you fight him.
Yeah,
not Takuma.
The thing with Davies, so like there's a list of there's a really hard weight.
It is
taking Nui out, and it's still.
Yeah.
I think he's another fighter. Another one. I won alluding to him when I spoke about. There's a couple of examples about fighters.
Zach Parker.
It was Zach Parker, of course. But I mean, he's another one. I wouldn't. He's getting close there, Davies, and he looked fantastic. But I would just get him just to get a bit more experience.
They can bed him in,
level.
can't they?
Yeah.
They can bed him in around kind of European level. Defend that European title in Telford.
And use the Nui thing as a reason to hold him back, and no one will criticise you for that. And just hang on, we'll just wait and see what Nui's doing first.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep at this level because it's a fantastic, and he got rivals at this level, haven't he? Some kid
Dennis McCann.
Dennis McCann, yeah, just won the British title. So that's a fantastic rivalry they could have there. And if Warren, out of all promoters, loves that domestic stuff, doesn't he? So I think that's a really good selling point for him. But he reminds me of Mark Chamberlain. Boxer's nothing really like Mark Chamberlain, but I was impressed. I was the other week with Mark Chamberlain, and again with Liam Davies. So how much time they got? How much time they create for themselves, the space and time to throw the shot. He didn't rush anything.
That uppercut particularly, he just found it, didn't he? And he looked like he had all the time in the world.
It was a really fast shot, but then when you watched it back, you think, oh, good shot. I'm terrible. I rewind shit for it. Like, I mean, I'm watching the fight at 8 o'clock. I mean, by the time I watched, it's about 10 o'clock in the end. By the time I watched one round, I've got to see that again. But it almost looks like he's seen it and he just took his time. Yeah, no problem. And that's where the power is, because he's loose. He doesn't load up and go, what? He doesn't speed it up too much. He just gets the balance and the weight of the shot and the time of the shot is perfect. And boom, right through the middle. So he creates space and time for himself, and that's a very difficult thing to do. And he does it naturally. I think Mark Chambers, another one who does it naturally. He doesn't look like he can. He looks a little bit squared up and like he's going to get hurt. But actually, he's really a naturally good thinker. And I think Davies is as well. Added with the power, it makes him a problem. Makes him a real problem. I think I'm really impressed. I've always quite looked at like to look at him, but I wasn't quite sure how good he was. I got to be honest. You're not quite sure, are you?
He was over in his fight before against Vincenzo.
Yeah, that's it. I really like fighters like that, though, who you know that opponents will look at them and feel like they're really beatable and therefore underestimate them. And then when the bell goes, discover, and they can't quite put their finger on why, that they're much better than they thought they were. And there's something really, I love that. You know, it's that kind of, it plays to the whole underdog mentality and dynamic that we love in boxing anyway. But Chamberlain's a good example too, because you look at him and you think, what is it about him that he does really, really well?
He looks fragile, chin's in the air. There's a lot of things you can exploit.
But then you watch him and you think, Jesus, you know, there's something going on here. And you just really do wonder. It's just, you can't look at them and you're fascinated to kind of just conjure really with how far they can go.
It's some people come through what they can do. Like sometimes when you got, like I did it when I was young, I had really fast hands when I was young. So I try and throw too fast. Like I feint. I throw so many. I throw my feint so fast. All it did was wear me out. No one saw it. The guy, it didn't even work. It was too fast. He didn't see it. Or you get people with power and they just kind of knock someone's head off all the time. But it's working against themselves. You've got power. You have natural power. You don't need to load up your shots. Just let the punch go. And that's what they do. They know what they are. But it's very difficult to get there. You got fast hand. You don't have to load up. Stay relaxed. Everyone should stay relaxed. You know, the bottom of your body should be tense and ready to move, always like this. But your shoulders should be relaxed. You to get that balance right, of course, where you've got to push off and sort of like put some weight in the shot. But you got to have that smoothness to your work. And when you've got naturally heavy hands, let your body do the work. You don't have to. You touch it, and you see it, and you see it with the guy. And when they do, like Chamberlain and Davies, when they relax them and when they throw the shot, they put them to sleep. And about being knocked down. Like that can be a sign. Oh, we can't take a shot. But everyone gets knocked down. And
it's a good box to tick.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily it wasn't.
No, but it is though. You're right. It is a good box because it's how they react to it and how they get up. And we all get knocked down. I never been down my entire life. But then I got put down 6 times in my last fight. So the whole point is that I never been knocked down before. But then when I do get knocked down, I get stopped. So but he got knocked down and got up and won. And so, like, he's not fearful of that. I've never fearful of that happening, but I mean, he knows how to react to that. So, he'll know to do the right things. Yeah. And I mean, it can be a plus. Because at some point in your career, we're all going to get hurt and wobbled and knocked down at some point. You would tend to think, almost every fight that I can think of, that's happened to, almost. Yeah, pretty sure.
All of them. I don't think of anyone who hasn't been hurt. But you make a good point there, and it is another box ticked. But I mean, doing that, we all saw the Lee McGregor fight, and I know Lee McGregor maybe hasn't gone on to fulfil the early promise of his career, but still, a former British, Commonwealth, and European champion, a very capable fighter, and he beat him well as well. He was in Edinburgh as well, Lee McGregor's home patch. I think he'd beaten. It was his 4th unbeaten fighter in a row, Ayala, and he'd beaten the previous 3.
And he showed strength. He showed that, and he showed that he could take a good shot. Because McGregor can bang.
Yeah, he can punch.
And he physically strong. He he had loads of energy, and I thought it was going to be a hard night for Dave. I thought at the end he'd have to just go I just thought boxes.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere. Let's just try and break you down, but if not, let's win a decision. Okay, staying with the super bantamweight division, we have mentioned his name, Dennis McCann, the new British champion at super bantamweight. Andy, pretty dominant performance against Brad Strand. I had it 10 rounds to 2. I gave Brad Strand the last couple of rounds on the night. What did you make of Dennis McCann's performance?
Yeah, good. I would have had it very similar. He maybe took his foot off the gas a little bit towards the end, but it's good to bank the 12 rounds. British champion, that will have been a title he will have wanted to have won for forever, probably. Everybody does. Put him down, what was it, in the 3rd or the 4th?
I think it might have been earlier.
Yeah, second, wasn't it?
It was a second, I think.
It was early on anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was early on, and at that point you wondered whether he might be able to click through the gears and force the stoppage, but he didn't really need to, because he was in control. He was in control of the fight, and just a lot to like about the whole experience for him, really, I think.
First time we've seen Dennis McCann under the guidance of Joe McNally. So now training out of the Rotunda gym in Liverpool. What have you made of his progression, Barry, over recent times? Because I think when he came on board, he was this big knockout artist, and he was this, and he was the new Naz, because everyone is. But he's seemingly settled into something now that obviously he was never going to be the new Naz. There's only one of Naz. But he sort of settled into a little bit more of probably a thinking fighter now, a little bit more methodical than what we expected initially.
I gotta say, I remember, and I like David Hay, but David, early because I was working for BT at the time. Early in Dennis's career, they mentioned the Naz. And David said, "Well, the thing is, Naz wasn't a big puncher in his career." And I was like, "Fucking hell, Dave!" I seen him knocking people out when he was 11 in up in Derby, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you got that right. Like, yeah,
doesn't sound like David.
I think right. It was too much pressure on him. I think he's a much better fighter now, having had some tough fights, than he would have been if they would have matched him like he was going to be. Sometimes when you have like a superstar like Naz or Joe Kazagi, because I haven't mentioned him for weeks, and some of their fights they had compared to what I had to have going up. Not so much Naz, he was, but they put him against people who they can beat easy to make him look good, because you just know he's gonna, when he gets to the level, he's gonna have that toughness. He's gonna have it because he did it in the amateurs, and you just know. But when they're really young, like Dennis was, then you got to match him quite well. And I think, they could have rushed him. They could have put him in that fast track route, or the, I guess, modern era, or the anti-yard route, the WBO thing, which they sort of were going to go for at one point, it looked like, and then get him to really high up in the ratings. And then he's all of a sudden he's not this massive puncher that people thought he is, because he's not. And and he hasn't. He don't know what he's going to be like under pressure, which in the Baluta fight, which he was fortunate, I thought, to be honest. Well. But that's fine. You get the rub of the green sometimes, and you just got to take what you can get. But no, he looked at that performance against Bradley Strand. It was a really good fight, I think. I think he'll win some stuff. That kid, that Brad. I think he'll win some stuff, and he just needed to believe in himself, and he didn't believe in himself. I just think Dennis controlled everything really early. And he was always menacing, and he's boxing now with patience, which he always maybe was, but you've seen it more at a higher level. And I think that fights like that Saturday are so good for him. But again, another one. I mean, that's the theme of the fight. Max Limpton said it was a rubbish tagline for it. But I mean, all about, you don't need to go too far too soon. You're fine where you are, mate. You're learning very well. You're still a young man. You've got loads of time. Who knows what weight you're going to end up in, by the way. I think he's a featherweight at any time soon.
Yeah.
I know he tested the waters before, but I think that's where he's going to go. He's got a lovely wide stance, but he doesn't. But it's not like a booth stance where he takes all his energy away from him and it's all explosiveness. His feet are nice and fast. He's sharp with the shots. You can see him looking for the gaps as well. No, against a guy who was fighting back with him, against a guy who's technically very good. Maybe lacked a bit of power, Bradley Strand, but I think apart from that, he beat a really good operator there, and he beat him quite comfortably. And I think that's for this level, for the British title, is a really good stand-up performance. And he grows from that more than I've seen any other fight recently of the last 2 years or something from him, I think. Because that was a really hard fight to be involved in. And I put him back in with Baluta now, after that. I think he beats him. not easy.
Yeah, no one has an easy night.
No,
with Beluto,
but I think he beats him convincingly.
Yeah.
You know, after fighting him once already and having that fight as well, I would put him back in. And most people say he's a fucking idiot. Don't put him back in with him. No, just forget about that. And they'll put him away like they used to years ago, didn't they? You box a real hard Mexican or something. You go, yeah, good fight. Like that's where Lara should have went when he beat Josh Warren. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay, yeah, you beat me, but you don't exist anymore. But I think he beats it. Yeah, I think he was good. I think it was one of the most impressive performances of the night. I thought he boxed really, really well. Big fan.
Andy, impressed with Brad Strand? Dennis McCann overall?
Yeah, I mean, when he turned pro, there was quite a lot of noise around him, and his performances were quite eye-catching, and there's a whole Dennis the Menace thing, and it's a good all-round package. But he'd never boxed as a senior in the amateurs, and
something we talk about quite a lot.
Yeah, we do talk about it quite a lot, and I do think that if you don't and you turn over having just boxed as a youth, then you are leaving yourself a lot to do, and there is no rush because you will only be 18, and there is no rush. And bedding in around British level or slightly above for a couple of fights, maybe he could win that belt outright. Maybe that's something they could do, if they could get the fights quick enough. What would be wrong with that? Because these rounds he's getting in at the moment, it's not like they're in place of 3 or 4 years of boxing men as a senior, but in a way they are, because he never did that. So I think it's the right place for him to be at the minute, absolutely. And he's got Davies there, and we can see where Davies could go over the next couple of years. He won't be looking at Dennis McCann. He'll feel like, listen, you're well behind me. You don't need a piece of me. It's too soon and all that kind of thing. But if McCann just keeps winning, keeps progressing, keeps taking good fights. So when you're British champion, you will be in good fights, because whoever you're fighting will be absolutely desperate to win. You've got that target on your back. You might look at someone that you're matched with by the board and feel like that's not a great fight for your progression. That could happen. You might feel like it's not a fight that gets you especially excited, but because of what's on the line, that the other person is going to come and give it absolutely everything. So I like where he is. And I think he's probably realised himself over the last couple of years that it was just best if everything kind of settled down a bit. Everything, from kind of stylistically, ambition-wise, and doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour. Don't need to be a world champion by the age of whatever. You just get on with it and see where you go.
You learn, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah,
you've got to learn your trade, and that's something I think you have to learn your trade. Not every, some people are special.
Yeah, but when you turn pro that young, you don't need to rush, do you?
No.
But look, in a couple of years' time now, we could have him, Davies, Nick Ball, all with the same people in the same weight class. They'd all be featherweights, all at world level very quickly. That could happen, by the way. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's good for McCann to have somebody like a Liam Davies, who his name's kind of sort of attached with anyway. And the better Liam Davies does, and the higher he climbs up, your name's going to be in that conversation as well. So
and you're hunting.
Yeah,
that makes you better. It makes you better. It does. They say people when they win a title, all of a sudden now they go, which you would all actually. He's talked about when he won the world title, because he'd failed before, and against Lyndon Holmes. When he got over the line against Meninga, he was just like, "Oh, I've done it." That was it for him. His ambition went. He wanted to win. He wanted to defend his title and win the money. That internal ambition went, because he just got there. Because you're searching and hunting, you have a focus, and once you get to it. Like we all have that in life. Like you're supposed to work with me, and you've done it now, and ever since then, they're going to stay in you. You were young.
Careful what you wish for.
You were young and passionate. You go, look, what are you on about?
Aged me.
But that's you're right. That happens to a lot of. That happens to a lot of.
That's why we're award winning.
That happens to a lot of fighters though, and I think a lot of the time it comes as a shock to them that they achieve that thing they've always wanted, and they wake up the next morning. And it's a case of, well, what am I going to do now? And the answer is you're going to defend your belt as many times as you can and make as much money as possible. But what they're not expecting that kind of flat line in terms of their motivation. Yeah, they're not expecting it at all, and it can be very, very difficult. It's an old cliche, isn't it? It's winning the title is easier than staying champion, and
the focus is different, isn't it?
It is.
It becomes about money then, and money. It becomes about money. Some people are money motivated. That's different. But when it becomes about money, for most boxers of my generation, I reckon, it becomes shit. It's a different pressure that you don't want. No fighting, competing, because I just treated as a boxer, as I was an amateur. I just want to win. I was never scared of losing. I didn't want to lose, but I wasn't scared of taking a risk. I don't think, and most boxers feel the same way, and almost all of us do, I think. But you just want to keep fighting, winning, and challenging, and get better, and see how far you can go. And we all think we know where we're going to go. And we all dream of going a little bit further, and sometimes you're going even further than that again, or sometimes you don't. Who knows? She's luck in it. But like that drive is a different focus, and for most of us, we can understand that because we're just fucking boxers. That's all we are. Just thick as shit, and we just want to fight, and we love it. We love what we do. We found something we are passionate about, and we're lucky for that. When it becomes about money, you have to have a different mindset and a different mentality and a different toughness that most of us don't have. Because because once it becomes about money, you start distrusting people and all that shit, and things unravel in front of your life. I
just think it's because it was never about that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
was it? It was never about that.
Ultimately, we all want to be rich and famous, and even if you don't want to be famous, you sort of half want it all, don't you? At the end of the day, I want to be 6'2" and be able to brush my hair back and all that stuff. But but ultimately, that's not your drive to where you want to go. So once you get there to your destination, to find a different focus for most is not enough. That's fucking where we come from here. But this is a very good topic.
That's good. It's good. I enjoyed it. But anyway, from one side of I guess somebody's career and one stage of somebody's career to another, we saw the return of Joyce. First time we've seen Joyce in with somebody not called Zhilei Zhang in a little while. Andy, going to come to you first. Got the job done in the end. Obviously saved your prediction. Get your predictions in on the Boxing News app. But it wasn't the best of watches, and it certainly wasn't what, if you're in the Joyce business, one would have been hoping to see from Joyce, particularly with that lure of potential heavyweight bonanzas on offer in Saudi Arabia. We didn't get vintage juggernaut on Saturday night.
No, we didn't. He struggled to get out of the low gears, really, didn't he? And we've seen that from him on occasion, and he's never going to be this incredibly dynamic, explosive fighter, but we have seen him steamroller a fair few people, and that's absolutely what I thought he would do to Cash Ali, who did very well to hang in there for as long as he did. That was a good performance from him, so well done to him on that. But I don't want to judge Joyce too harshly, although it's tempting to look at that performance and wonder whether Zhilei Zhang has taken something away from him that cannot be restored, because that's always possible. Or is it the case of those are two really hard fights? Is it reasonable to think that off the back of what was a disastrous year for him, quite honestly, and physically damaging year for him, is it reasonable to expect him to be able to just click straight back into that previous gear? Because no matter how resolute somebody might seem mentally as well as physically, it's going to have an effect on you. That's going to affect your confidence. There's just no way that it won't. So all in all, I found myself a little bit undecided as to what that actually means for the rest of his career for his prospects in the heavyweight division. But I definitely would have liked to have seen him take care of Cash Ali in a more comprehensive fashion than that.
Barry?
Yeah, everything you said, and full of shit, man. No, everything you said, I agree with it, but I do.
But
and you're right, except that was I think Cash Ali was the opponent to make it. All that lack of
that was the plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you're right. You can't expect him to be full of confidence. That must have dented his confidence, because this is a guy who was an immovable object, who be moved out of the way first and then easier the second time round.
Yeah, smashed the bits in the second.
So if that's what you dine out on, all of a sudden you're going to go, okay, that's my superpower. No, it's not my superpower. But Cash Ali, if you're a world level fighter, no disrespect to Cash Ali, if you're a world level fighter, Cash Ali shouldn't be giving you problems like that. Shouldn't be difficult, even though you're slow, hands and feet. The physical size and strength and the weight of you and all, you should be able to just push him in the corner, keep him there. and he couldn't do it. He got hit a few times. He looked uncomfortable. He didn't look hurt. He looked a bit uncomfortable with it. But then I thought when I on the night, I thought, ooh, got buzzed there. Because to be fair to Ali, he was dipping his head over and swinging everything in the shot.
Over him, right.
And I thought, ooh. But then I think Joyce always reacts like that when he gets hit. It's not like he doesn't feel it. He just...
We spoke about it before the Christian Hammer fight.
Yeah.
It was the same where he didn't look like badly hurt, but it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of blinks, doesn't he?
Yeah,
It's like the screen flickers,
yeah.
and then he kind of reboots and away he goes again.
So, but he's still got a good future ahead of him. I don't see him challenging for world honours all of a sudden now. He's gone from this guy who could beat Joshua to like, he's not going to be Daniel Dubois in the rematch. But I think that's where they're going. The way Warren was talking about him, did I see that on a YouTube channel or see it on the TNT? I can't remember. But after the fight, Warren did an interview and I think they mentioned Dubois and they mentioned somebody else. I don't think it was Zhang. Couldn't have been Zhang. But I just thought...
That's a hard sell.
He's an opponent now. At the highest level.
Yeah.
That's what he's 38. All those things might be a factor as well. The wear and tear of having to walk through shots as well. Let's not forget that. Those two really hard fights that he got bashed up in.
Parker fight was a grueling fight.
Parker fight was a grueling fight. He's 38. I keep mentioning that again. But it might just so could he gone to amateur boxing quite late, so that sort of saved him a little bit with the age, but it might just start catching up with him because he's not the quickest of hands and feet and technically not good. He can't ride shots, he can't block and slip. He did show in the Dubois fight a little bit of good upper body movement. I thought that's the best I've seen in box. And he's recently broke them on him. He broke them in the corner the other night, but he looks too big now and bulky to even try and do that bit of more movement. So if you box Dubois again, you make Dubois a huge favourite this time. Ironically, you do. I think you do. I just think Joyce can be pushed back now, and that's the problem. So but in that division, being an opponent still means you're going to win fortunes.
And he's still one shot away. He's still a big
look at Dubois. Dubois is a prime example. He looked like a guy who had no appetite for the sport, and then he did okay against Usyk and quit again, but did okay against him, I thought, until he got beat. But we're talking about him, in the mix for the big fights and stuff, and then he beats Jarrell Miller in a fantastic performance. He'll be boxing Joshua next or something. It's madness, isn't it? I made that up, but who knows what's going on in Saudi? They match fights. They want to.
Yeah, you're only a couple of fights away, or one fight away. Yeah.
It looks like to me though, Joyce is on the outside looking in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was probably. Don't get me wrong, I thought Joyce would win by stoppage, but I was probably one of the few who thought, Cash Ali will make that difficult for him. We'll kind of stink the place out, and because he's been in there with everybody, hasn't he? Cash is in the gym, like he's very well used sparring partners with all the top boys. So in the gym, he'll be. Or in the ring on Fight Night, be aware of what's coming. And just because Joyce is, and this is pre him weighing in at a career heaviest, Joyce doesn't really do anything that you can't see coming. It's part of it. He's very club in power, but it wasn't really until the 10th round where he caught him with that short right hand that Cash Ali didn't see that coming and he got knocked out. But up to that point, it was just enough where Cash Ali could just ride and roll and just brace at times where he could take the sting out of it. But that being said, I don't know whether or not that says more about what I thought we could potentially expect to see from Joe Joyce. I put out a tweet just before it started where he's 38 years old. He's coming off the back of two pretty, the second one was a brutal stoppage. I mean, the first one he took a lot of shots in, but it didn't have the crescendo that the second fight did. Career heaviest, 38 years old on the back of two knockout losses. Like that all points to, we're not going to see a great performance from somebody here, doesn't it? Really,
it's just madness. Isn't it? You just look at that when you mentioned that, and I just think, all of a sudden he's there now. He's still in a profitable position, but he's there, and two guys he beat in Parker and Dubois added up here somewhere. Yeah, it's just madness, isn't it?
It is.
In no time at all, by the way.
It is.
It's just like
crazy.
That division more than
one of them in Dubois has lost again since as well.
Yeah, but still, yeah.
But that second knockout against Zhang, that you cannot underestimate how difficult that would be to get past mentally, because the first stoppage, even though he was on the receiving end and he was unable to get out of the way of that left hand, it was stopped because his eye closed and he never went down, and you could sell that to yourself easily, can't you? You can say, well, in the second half of the fight I would have come on, and maybe he would have. But the second one, he never would have imagined that could happen to him. And that's that's really difficult. That makes it really, really difficult, because everybody feels probably isn't the right word. Everybody admits to themselves that, of course, you could lose, but the manner of defeat is a big part of that. And you can get outpointed and then complain about the judges. You can maybe get injured, and so therefore, and that never really gave you a chance. Like Sonny, before Christmas against Bam Rodriguez, the eye went. If that hadn't happened, things could have been different. That's a perfectly reasonable argument. But if you just get absolutely wiped out by somebody when you are the immovable object, then that's difficult.
So him getting a box is one of those you can sell that. Like I can't be a box. I can sell being knocked out quicker than me being knocked. Someone totally outboxes me, schools me. That's why I avoid Mayweather. I like to play now.
But that would have been that would have been a crisis of faith for you, wouldn't it? Happened to you.
At my level. So if I'm getting a box, if I'm boxing a British title and someone's totally schooling me,
someone takes you on at your own game and beats you, then you've got.
And I think that's for him. For him to be knocked out cold. It's like, I know I can be hurt, but I'm resilient, and that's why I beat you up. That's why I wear you down, because you just can't hurt me. So and he does dine out on that. We can't say he just takes a good shot, but he actually tries to outbox you, because he doesn't, and he hasn't tried for years. He's gone with loads of different trainers who've tried to get him to box different. They've all tried to get him to do different stuff, and in the end, he's just gone, I can't do it. This is what I do, and I don't mind that. Yeah. I've tried Adam Booth. I've tried you. I've tried everyone else. I've all tried you all. Thank you, but I can't fucking do it. This is what I'm going to do. We'll tinker a little bit, but this is what I could do.
And it was kind of before that first Zhang fight where
it then looked like that's what he was going to do. Didn't it?
He'd so settled into that, hadn't he? Because he came up with that great line during the week, and we all had a good chuckle at it, but it kind of came back to haunt him, where he said everybody has a plan until they punch me in the face and nothing happens. And then on the Saturday, Zhang punched him in the face a lot, and something did happen.
I thought he was going to beat Zhang the first time.
So did I.
I just thought Zhang was going to wear it out.
But I did think it was a very dangerous fight to take. And when we saw it on the night, I was like, that is like the most dangerous version of what this fight could be. Which is just.
But I just thought, because the way Zhang fights for 20 seconds of a round, and he showed that again recently, though it was 10 seconds every round against Parker. But if you fight at a high pace, or I know he doesn't fight at a high pace, Joyce, but he walks you down, so you've got to throw punches to keep him away, and that's how he tires you down. So I just thought he takes a great shot, and he'll block a bit of it. I thought, and he'll wear him down in the end and stop him. And Zhang will just be exhausted, just a massive lump who can't throw any more punches after 6 rounds. That's what I thought it was going to be.
Same.
But Zhang was more energy than I thought, and obviously in every shot he hit, Joyce with hurt. But he didn't look great. That's the other night. Again, I think Cash Ali was the right opponent for him at that time. Cash Ali, I'm not still got problems with his eyes. I think you got the blinks, which a lot of boxers get. I've had it in times of my career. It's a nervous thing. I think it's a nerve issue. I think, which is a worry. But we just brush it off. It's fine. But he's blinking, looking away. He did in the fight against Marinets. Thank you. I couldn't get his name right on the night. I was commentating, but he did it against him quite a lot. And I had to say it in the end when we did. I don't know whether he didn't go on Channel 5 that fight. I think, but he went on a broadcast somewhere. I had to mention. I didn't want to mention. I didn't want to embarrass him. I don't want to embarrass him now. But I think it was so obvious. He wasn't just blinking like a Liam Williams does. He was blinking and looking away, and I felt like, you're looking at me from the target. It's dangerous now. It becomes dangerous. You can't see a shot. So you've got a guy there who can't focus fully on a fight, and that makes him a danger to himself, but also should make it an easier night for you if you're walking him down. And Joyce just couldn't get the distance right. He was really bad. I think he was really bad, and maybe I hope I'm wrong. I don't know why, because I don't even know him, but I hope I'm wrong, because I think his time at the top level might just not. You might never get there. Who next for Joe Joyce then? Is it going to be the Daniel Dubois rematch? I'd chuck him in with Zhang again. I would. No, I think it's Dubois. I think the fact that he mentioned it, Frank Warren, because Dubois gets his revenge, because he's banking. He's fair to Frank Warren. He's always put his faith in Dubois. The one thing you say about Frank Warren, right, that he knows a potential star when he sees one, better than most others, and he's a proper gambler, like he did, like Kazagi again. But he bet on. He knew Kazagi was going to be a star. He was shoot, and then Joe couldn't sell tickets, and Sky didn't want him on ITV. No channels wanted to show Joe, and he could go and tell you this kid's going to be the one. He's going to be the one, and he rammed it on his throat, and he lost money. He kept putting money into him, and in the end, he got his just rewards, and he took everyone's money. But like no, he got it back in the end because he believed in himself. But he didn't like quite often. He probably did a bit of Hatton, I would imagine. I don't know, but I mean, he's that sort of guy, and I think with Dubois. It's easier with a heavyweight because they all earn money at British level even, so you can get your money back at that level. But I think he genuinely believes he can get to the very top. I know. I'm still not sold on him, to be honest, at the very highest level. But he's shown a massive improvement, and now him against Joyce is his retribution. He'll show people that I didn't quit. I had a genuine ING, and it could have saved my career. That crap that they come up with, but. He'll come back, and the way he's boxing recently, I think he should. Looking at the form of the both, he should quite comfortably outbox Joyce. I think. More, yeah.
If you're Daniel Dubois, you're probably looking at it now and fancying your chances of stopping him. I know Joyce got a great chin and he took some big shots in that fight, but a lot's happened since then.
Yeah, but I think he showed against Miller that he doesn't have to go looking to take everyone's head off.
No, yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he looked fantastic. I think Dubois against Miller, I thought he was brilliant.
That was the perfect fight for him. We said it when we did our belated review that we're getting chased for months on Twitter. That was sort of, if you're in the Daniel Dubois business, couldn't really have gone any better, that fight, because it had moments where it looked a bit fraught, and it had moments where like you're gonna have to really show something. That's here, and he did.
He looked like he wasn't a million miles away from
from taking the knee again,
feeling sorry for himself
because he's been here before. You're always thinking, here it comes. And he's always gonna have that question mark over him, unfortunately. But I think that's where Joyce is. Unfortunately, he's the B side now until he proves he's not.
It's a really good fight, though, isn't it? And
really good fight.
We all understand that a lot of big fights are going to go to Saudi, and that's how things are, and that's the flip side of them making all these big fights. Is that some of the ones that we would like to see here aren't going to be here. But I'd be relatively hopeful that Dubois Joyce, which is the way round I'm sure it would be billed, would be here.
Yeah.
You would hope so.
You would.
Just never know.
But you don't know. You don't know.
With Joe Joyce against like Ajit Kabayel or something on a Saudi card. You never know.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of decent enough match. Right. Okay. Final one that we're going to talk about from the Magnificent Seven card is Zach Parker versus Tyrone Zeuge.
Oh, you picked a good one.
Yeah, picked a good one to round things off. Not the most exciting fight that I've ever seen in my life. Shout out to Liam Davies, who really did really came back and really injected that life back into the show after Zach Parker and Joe Joyce made it feel every inch 2:00 in the morning or whatever it was. So sorry, it's just somebody calling me.
I gotta say, it was a fantastic, on paper, it was a fantastic bill.
Yeah, very.
I was really
it's luck of the draw, isn't it? Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I think overall it delivered, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not every fight did, but that's rarely going to be the case. But definitely enough did.
Absolutely. But one fight that didn't was Zach Parker and Tyrone Zeuge. Although, Andy, it got very, very interesting from the second round up until about, well, to be fair, until the end of the fight. But until, I say very, very interesting, let's dial that back in a little bit. It got somewhat interesting for a couple of rounds after Tyrone Zeuge landed a pretty meaty right hook that I thought it took Zach Parker a good couple of rounds to recover from that shot.
Yeah, so did I. And in those situations, you're watching it and you're thinking, what's Zeuge doing here, really? Because he's an experienced guy. He must know that has registered. Why is he not pushing this harder? And you understand that it's a 12-round fight and that he's in there and he's closer, and maybe he's looking at him and thinking he's not quite ready to go. I don't need to go crazy now. If I do, then all sorts of other things. But if you're in his position, this is a big chance for you to really get back into the mix, and you have early success like that. You have to try and press it home more than he did, I thought, but he didn't, and yeah, I think it did take him a couple of rounds to get his head clear and get his faculties, get those signals from the brain firing through clear again, and then he did what he needed to do. So in that regard, given the way that it started, it was a good win. But yeah, I think Zeuge, maybe he just wasn't expecting that to happen, I don't know, but it was strange. I thought why you wouldn't just go after somebody when you've obviously hurt them like he had.
Barry, I just want to talk to you about Zach Parker. I felt like there was more than a couple of occasions at the weekend, one of them being the shot that the right hook that landed from Tyron Zeuge, where some of his technical and defensive deficiencies maybe reared their head a little bit, particularly when he's going back to the ropes, particularly when you factor in that he does like to switch a lot, and he found himself, or I found myself looking at him and seeing him in some pretty bad defensive situations on Saturday night that, okay, Tyron Zeuge almost did capitalise on it, but when you're thinking about the super middleweight division, your David Morrell's, Benavidez, Canelo, of those ilk, and if you're Zach Parker with world level aspirations, surely they've got to be ironed out before you get there.
Well, I watched it at some point. The saying came in my head, I can't remember what it was now because I punch drunk. It wasn't like, it was pretty much like, it wasn't like this, but it was like he's busy doing nothing. So he tries to do so much, he actually ends up doing nothing at all. Does that make sense? Like, he puts himself in trouble. He tries to move his feet too much, he's trying to do this, he's trying to make you miss. And all that's good. And he's technically quite good. I think he's clever, but he overthinks everything. He just he don't overthink stuff. I know I said about Liam Davies earlier on about, they don't rush their work. They take their time and they find space to do the shots. He's the opposite. He wants to show you. He's boxing like it. He needs experience. That's what he needs. He's skipped levels. I'm slagging him off here. He's technically good, and I think he is a good fighter. But he leapfrogged those learning fights. He's leapfrogged them. They haven't happened for him. And he's put himself at a level now that he's like world level, and he's not.
He had that. He had that fight with Daryl Williams, which was very fortunate to walk away with the British title. It was on the line that night. It was on a Taylor Martin.
Yeah, Taylor Martin. It was a World
Super
Series, wasn't it?
And it seems since that fight is when they sort of went the more, I guess we call it the international route nowadays, where you box like your Vaughan Alexanders and people of that ilk.
So, and they're all learning fight, but he didn't have the proper development fights to put him where he is. So he's still doing that thing what a young prospect does and want to show everyone what you can do. But sometimes you do it all in one hit, and all you do then is just confuse everyone, including yourself, or it doesn't work, and he puts himself in trouble. All the times he got hurt, he put himself in trouble. His feet were crossing over themselves. He was leaning on, like he was trying to make you slip shots and do other stuff, and then sort of off balance. And spinning around the target, he just not with no thought behind it. So he wants to show you all his array of skills with no thought behind what he's doing. So there's no meaning behind it. And I just think so he's busy doing nothing. I think that's exactly summed him up. Just does loads of stuff and then does nothing. And then all you do is just wasting energy, putting yourself in bad positions, where really he should have, and he has the ability clearly to play with Zeuge, I thought.
That version of Zeuge especially.
I think he beats any version of Zeuge. I mean, if he can get it right, I was never big on Zeuge. I also thought he was a well-beatable fighter, but some girl kept winning. That's a strength in itself. Somebody always finds a way to win. But, yeah, I'm disappointed. I think realistically, Parker's a good fighter. If they can rewind the clock like 3 years and start and not go, you're boxing for a world title next, if you win this fight, and given the proper fights, then he stops Zeuge, I think, to Saturday. But he haven't had those fights. He needs them now. But now you got to be a little bit humble and go, I'm not ready to be where we're talking about where I am. And for a fighter, you don't do that.
I was going to say, particularly in the position that he's in now, and he still is seemingly, even after the John Ryder performance, he is still on the fringes. There's rumours about him boxing Craig Richards on the 5 versus 5 as well.
Even that, that's a good fight for him. I mean, it's a good fight for us. But you sort of say he should be ready for Craig Richards on paper, and when they're talking about him, then more than so. But after that performance, and I think really that's just highlighted that for all your ability, your fight management's poor. I'm digging him out, Jed. I'm not.
No, but I know what you're saying.
Nothing you've said is
once you get pushed up through that bottleneck, coming back down is really, it's almost impossible because there's lots of other people involved in it, and I remember I commentated on him against Rowan Murdoch, and that was an eliminator, maybe even a final eliminator with the WBO, and that was March 2020.
Last COVID show.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
John O'Carroll versus Scott Quinn.
It was 4 years ago, so he's been up at that kind of level since then.
But he's not there, and that's what. But I'm saying this with a caveat that I think potentially he's good enough to be genuinely that level, because he has ability. You can see it, and I think and he's not a knockout artist, but I think he can punch his weight. And if he took his time with some of his shots and created the space like a Liam Davies and all let him do, then he will be a good puncher. He has the great attributes. I think his stance is good, his balance is good when he doesn't try and do a million things at once, but he just doesn't know what he's doing. His brain's thinking, he's got too much going on in his head. He wants to show you everything at one time, so he's doing so much that he's actually doing fuck all. I'm saying that because I think he can get it right, but he needs those development fights. So you got to take himself back. How old does he know? There you go. See, you got the computer. Yeah. No, sorry. No, but I mean, I think
late
he,
20s, I reckon.
Well, he's got time 29. Then. He's got time for the sake of his career and his aspirations to be a world champion.
Isn't it? Does he say, "Oh yeah, so Frank, I know you want me to box Craig Richards on the 5 versus 5. I'm going to go and box Sergei Kamitsky." Actually,
yeah, I know.
It's just not going to happen, is it?
No, it's not.
You're right. What you're saying, yeah, that is something that he potentially.
And I don't blame anyone for it. You just as a manager, you want to get your fight. Andy Yard. Andy Yard, even though he's lost the 2 biggest fights, actually proved that he was genuinely world class, even in defeats. You know what I mean? That's the truth of it. But that was a risk. It was a massive risk. I was at the time when he boxed Covell. I just thought this is just crazy.
And the difficulty with that is because he did it. It will make other people feel like they can. But he's turned out to be the exception, hasn't he?
Kawasaki never boxed. Kawasaki, mad on Joe today. He never boxed nowhere near world class. He boxed good domestic level, but nowhere near world class until he boxed Eubank, and then Eubank arguably was on his way out. Well, arguably clearly on his way out. He was a late notice opponent. Never boxed nowhere near that level before. You just don't. It happens to us all. We all like boxing above our level. At some point, you got to take that leap of faith. But it's too big a jump for him. I think it was highlighted against Zeuge that he's not quite ready yet, and it's not because you don't have the ability. Just you don't have the understanding of fight management and what you need to do, and you're still as most inexperienced fighters do. You want to show us everything you can do, and you're doing it too quick, and you're rushing your work, and it made it really difficult. It made it a horrible watch. You didn't sell yourself very well when you should have, and could have, and you made it a hard night when it should have been a relatively easy night for you. And then you would have been praising him by, former world title champion, regular champion, whatever he was, but still, WBA's rules. And and that's what it was. But unfortunately, it didn't. Even though he got the win, it posed more questions than answers. Yeah, but he has the potential. I'm digging him out, but he has the. I think he has the potential. Like, I don't care that he watches in and you think I'm an arsehole. I don't care about that. I do a little bit, but I mean. That's the truth, isn't it? I think I don't want to dig him out because he still won the fight, and it's not nobody's fault because it's everyone's job to push a fighter on. But I think they've jumped the gun a little bit with him, and they've missed out on a couple of those fights. And I think if him and his team, if they're really honest about it, they would go, do you know what? After that Darryl Williams fight, we would have maybe had a rematch with him and then boxed more domestic level there just to get that experience.
Yeah,
and that's why I was saying about Liam Davies and Dennis McCann. And you don't need to push him too quick too soon. Let him just get comfortable at this level. So
we were talking about it the other week, weren't we? And I do absolutely believe that the analogy of it being a series of exams where you learn the syllabus in the gym, then you take the exam. That is what it is. And if you miss a few out, then you go for, I think I said, if you go from GCSE to PhD, then you can have a crack at that PhD paper. And if you've got some natural tools, you'll get a few questions right, but you'll get asked a few that you haven't got the answer to because they were in the previous exams that you didn't do. And you can't be expected to know them. And that's what will happen.
But you've seen a genius do it.
Yeah, every now and again you'll get someone who can do it, but they are the ones you need to ignore them rather than kind of hold them up as somebody to be followed, unless it just so happens you're one as well, in which case you're not paying any fucking attention to anything anyone does and you're just doing your own thing.
Okay, right, let's move away from the Magnificent Seven card. Shout out to Owen Cooper, very good win over Ethan James.
Good fight,
very good fight. Really good performance, I thought, from him, and also Pierce O'Leary with a stoppage win over Havanis Martirosyan. Let's look over stateside before we preview this weekend in Sheffield. Andy, going to come to you. I think we all we spoke privately because we didn't have the time to go through it last week because of the knockout chaos card, but I think we all felt that Maxi Hughes was up against it against William Zepeda. Obviously had that brilliant performance against George Kambosos in a fight that I certainly felt that he deserved better. It was kind of the worst version of what we thought it might be on Saturday night. William Zepeda really dominant from the first bell onwards. Certainly from the second round onwards, it was pretty heavy weather in there for Maxi Hughes.
It was, and it's one of those fights where there's not really an awful lot to say about it, really, because if you watched it, then he did okay in the first round, and then after that, it was pretty brutal, and there's no shame in it because Zepeda, he looks like he's the real thing, doesn't he? But he had a difficult week with the visa, and I didn't know about any of that until it came out after the fight. And in a way, the fact that he got beaten so comprehensively, at least that will mean that he won't look at all of that and feel like he never had a chance, or that would have impacted the result in a significant way. Say he'd lost a relatively tight fight on points. I think that would be very difficult to take if you get another big opportunity, and again it doesn't go your way, and you feel like again you've been on the end of a different kind of unjust treatment, but all the same there's been an injustice. It won't really have made too much difference, I don't think, to the final result, although it's obviously not ideal to have that kind of thing going on whilst you're trying to concentrate on a fight. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was, wasn't it?
It certainly was. And what it was, Barry, was a pretty dominant fourth round stoppage win for William Zepeda. But I think one of I've got to plug the app on everything. I scored the fourth round a 10-8 round for William Zepeda, despite there being no knockdown.
Do you know what? In that round, I was thinking they got through the tolling. I was calling it like through the tolling, and I understand why you don't. You want to, and they stopped the fight anyway in the corner in the end. But I mean, it was, and it's early in the fight. You think it's only the fourth round. But he weathered in a storm from the first round. I thought he boxed really well in the first round, and I think Zepeda was quite shocked because Maxi Hughes fires back quick. When you throw, he throws straight away back with you, and I thought he did quite well. But like you said to me off camera, but he was busting a gut just staying in the first round. But I thought he did well and maybe won the round. But like that was it. That was the end of it then for him. Bless him. It was just really hard night. Zepeda throws lots of punches, but again another one. It's the theme of the thing. No? He throws loads of punches, but he makes sure that he doesn't rush it. So every shot he throws is powerful. Every shot he throws, and he's digging to the body really well. He just beating him up in every place he just couldn't defend against it. You could see the shot, and even the shots he was blocking, with the punches through the guard. Well. Yeah, you could just see it every time he got it. You just think, oh mate, and just the toughness of Maxi Hughes. Like he's been fantastic, haven't he? He really has. Just the toughness of him. Just staying in there and no quitting him. But he should have been saved from himself in that fourth round. There were 6, 7, 8, 9 times that you could have just thrown the towel in. There wouldn't have been an issue. But he fires back, doesn't he? He just fires back enough for me to go, oh, you just get past this round. We can assess him in the corner. Which he did get to the end of the round, but he probably took 10 punches more than he needed to take, I think, in the end. I'm not criticising the corner.
No.
It felt like that would have been a good time to finish. But William Zepeda is a real problem. I don't think he's the hardest target to find. And that might be an issue, with bigger punches and more accurate punches, and naturally bigger guys. Let's not forget that. Though Maxi, I think, is a genuine lightweight. He's not a career lightweight. But I don't think that's bollocks. He's not a big puncher, but he's big enough for the weight, of course.
So just got from our friends over at CompuBox. I know we have our
ComBox are fine until they mention power shots. That's it. Everything else is fantastic.
Or until they confuse you with Barry McGuigan. But anyway, let's ignore that.
He's gone. I mean, he's still there.
Dan, it's his son.
That's his son, is it?
Yeah. But anyway,
no, I mean, he's gone. When I find him, he's gone.
Some punch stats for you. In round 4, William Zepeda landed 58 of 116 punches.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
45 of which were power shots. Sorry, Barry. Okay. So hooks and what have you. So let's just run through some of the total punches landed.
Sorry, can I just say really quick?
Yeah.
His jabs are power shots.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it.
Which is what. Yeah.
That's the whole thing with him.
So round 1, 21 landed. So Zepeda landed 21 of 81 in round 1, 40 of 104 in round 2, 42 of 107 in round 3, and 58 of 116 in round 4.
So he's just ramping things up bit by bit there, isn't he?
Yeah.
The amount of punches, the punch completion is slightly improving as well.
161 punches landed in 4 rounds.
I know that
that's a
shows.
hell of a lot.
I know what that
punches per
shows though. That shows how his punches having an effect round by round, because then he's increasing. That's because the other guy is throwing less back because he's looking to defend more, because your punches having an effect. So once you get hurt with a few shots, you don't throw back so many because you're thinking, if I throw a shot, it's got to be right because I got to protect myself, and then you end up throwing none. And then ironically, the safer you try and become, the more vulnerable you become, because you throw less punches. It means they can throw more at you because they're having a free reign, and that's what the stats show. So Comp Box, no need to thank me. Comp Box,
I've
justified your system.
No, but that's a really good example actually of when you interpret the numbers like that, then they can paint you a picture. But what they do generally is paint you a picture of what you can see. You can kind of use them to back up what has happened. My problem with them has always been that they cannot and do not ever tell you what effect the punches have had. So they're not like they're interesting. They're just of kind of limited value, and I don't think you can ever hold them up as evidence of why somebody won a close fight. Like if they landed 9 more power shots or whatever than the other person, it just like in a one-sided fight or a one-sided enough fight, they can illuminate what happened.
Yeah, but that shows you what
the effect the punch
having, because
exactly. But I mean that punch completion there is kind of like a lot of sports. It's a high failure rate sport, boxing, isn't it? Most of what you throw won't land. 30% is pretty good, isn't it? I would say 25-30% is good
because you're punching at a target that's always protected usually.
Yeah.
So even when even when you have a target, it's not. And that's what Ngannou had the problem, because he didn't have a free range like he had with Fury. He had the guy in front of him like this. So even though he's in front of you, you haven't got a clear vision of the target. So you've got to try and punch through the guard or punch at an angle or whatever. Or Zepeda just goes bang, your gloves are in the way, but they won't be for much longer.
Yeah, that's it.
He's hard work, he is, and if he can really take a shot, then that's a division which is it's not up for grabs. But I think it is having a little bit of a change at the minute.
People going to 140.
Well, they're all looking for the money, innit? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's going to be an interesting time, I think, the next sort of 18 months.
Here's one before we move on and talk about this weekend. William Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson. We like that?
Yeah, I saw people calling for that immediately. I think,
he was, like Shakur was as well.
Yeah, why wouldn't you like that?
Yeah, because Shakur would think my movement, my footwork, and my jab will slow him down. Because that's the thing about spit. If you slow him down, like anyone, if someone works at a high pace, you slow him down. If someone works at a slow pace, you make him work harder. Yeah. But I mean, if you slow him down, is he as effective? Theoretically, he still have the same weight in the punch, so he still can hurt you. But it's not like continuously hurting you. I think that's what he does. Now, one punch puts you to sleep, maybe. I think he has that sort of power. But every punch batters you.
Yeah, he carries his power through the combination as well. So it's not just the first or the second one. It's like 4, 5, and 6. It's still got weight behind them. And I feel like you just sort of see Hughes under so much fire and just fuck.
That's what you said there. What you said there, spot on. It's exactly what it is, isn't it? It's just
carries the power.
Yeah.
But yeah, who wins that one? By the way, before we move on.
Shakur.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's a chicken.
But I don't think were he to lose that fight, it doesn't do Zepeda any harm necessarily.
I think you'd have the smart money would be on Shakur Stevenson as the more proven commodity. That's the style, isn't it? When you think about where Shakur has struggled against Nakatila, and he struggled against Dos Santos.
Yeah.
De Los Santos, where it's just that fast pace. But it's more like the explosive punching power rather than like somebody, because people can't sustain attack on him because he's constantly moving and he's constantly resetting. But that's where the fight would be won and lost, wouldn't it? Can you sustain it? Can you force Stevenson to fight?
But I think that's where you see the superstar in him.
Yeah, and again, from Stevenson's point of view, that's you got to be looking for a fight like that. Oh, this guy can do this and he can do that. Like, that's
the fight that sells him. All of a sudden, he beats Heaney,
he neutralises him, just breaks him down, stops him in a 10th, 11th round or something.
And to be honest, he needs that sort of performance. Yeah. Well done. What's your name again?
Yeah, thanks very much. Anyway, right, let's move on and talk about this weekend in Sheffield as we see the return of Dalton Smith. Andy, in a fight that I'm very, very intrigued by, I think this is a significant step up for Dalton Smith, considering the level that he's boxed at so far in his career. And I think he's done everything that's been asked of him to a level, but this is several levels above that. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, it's definitely fair to say. That's absolutely indisputable. You look at who he's lost to, for example, and I remember that fight against Flanagan way back now, where his shoulder went in the second round. He was unlucky that night. It was Flanagan won because it wasn't a foul or
just on that
otherwise.
Point. Sorry, I saw somebody tweeting what was a somewhat prominent American boxing Twitter account, and there was Terri Flanagan stopped him in 2 rounds. It's like, mate, you didn't watch the fucking fight.
No, you clearly haven't watched the fight. Yeah.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. He just fell over.
Yeah. Just behave yourself and pipe down, because if you haven't watched it and you don't know what happened, then go away.
He had a betting slip attached to it as well. I was like, good luck with that, man.
Yeah. And then you look at Jose Ramirez. And then more recently, but the fact that he's lost a couple recently will make people think that he's on the way down and not what he was, which is probably true. But at the same time, one was against Regis Prograis, 11th round stoppage. Regis Prograis.
And he was competitive in that fight.
Yeah, and he was competitive in that fight.
And that's Zepeda has that sort of style that Prograis would want as well. Someone's coming forward trying to let their hands go, whereas Prograis, if you take the distance away from him, it's different.
Prograis a very good fighter. Yeah. You know, you can't really hold up what happened to him against Heaney as being evidence of anything other than him running into somebody exceptional. And then he lost to Richardson Hitchens. Lost pretty much every round, but Richardson Hitchens again he's a guy on the rise.
And he's got that type of style where he can just negate you. And it's still not always. I quite like watching Richardson Hitchens box. It's not for everybody, but
he can negate you and make you.
Yeah, and he's never gonna systematically break you down and stop. That might come later in his career when he grows into
jabs, didn't he? Alone, pretty much.
Because he quickly identified that this guy's still dangerous. Let's not get silly here. Zepeda is. I think people we've spoke about this. I think when the fight got announced, when he had the Baranchek fight, which was an unbelievable fight, and if you're somehow watching this and you haven't watched that, wait till this is finished.
More knockdowns in that fight than my fight.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That was,
but if you remember, after that, they trotted him out to box Josue Vargas, and Josue Vargas, I think he'd lost once. He's like Puerto Rican prospect on the way up. People were saying the same stuff, Zepeda, he lost to Jose Ramirez, and he had that fight with Baranchek and he knocked Josue Vargas out in a round. So you can't discount a guy like that, and he hasn't lost anywhere near the level that Dalton Smith is operating at. So nowhere near that.
As soon as they made it, I raised my eyebrows and just thought, okay, I wasn't expecting them to do that, but I like the fact that they've done it, because you look what's happened with Dalton. He won the British title in summer 2022, did he? About August time, something like that. Then he got his 3 British title fights in by the next summer. He got it done quick, didn't he? And then they're thinking, okay, as a project, that was a good one. Keep him busy. They'd have been looking for something better at a higher level, but okay, it doesn't happen. So you stay active and win that title outright. But then once they've done that, then you're thinking, all right, what do we do now? And they would have loved to have gone down that European route that Azim ended up going down. And there's been all the chat about Azim, but we're not going to see that, I don't think, for a while. I mean, I'd be keen, but I don't see. Eddie says that they want it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But both teams are never going to get together for that one imminently, are they?
If he beats Zepeda, you definitely don't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Way beyond there, haven't he?
But they've given him
a bit of social media tomfoolery.
Yeah, of course. And so all of that's happened, and they thought, okay, fine. Well, we're going to do this then. And you just think, good for you, because if you beat him, then that is significant. You're fringe world level then if you beat him, aren't
Absolutely,
you?
yeah. I mean, there was talk about Harlem Eubank was a name that was sort of discussed as well around Dalton Smith. Maxie Hughes, obviously just boxed at the weekend, was another name that was kind of mentioned around it. But that sort of Harlem Eubank, sort of fringe European level-ish, like just above British, was where I think we all anticipate the next step to be. But it is significantly higher up than that, Barry.
The problem is at this weight division, you want to pick out those people who've been world champions or fought for world titles. Zepeda picks that perfectly, doesn't he? But just couldn't get over the line, so they should be beatable. And at the end of their careers, which he probably is, should be, but he definitely is, and you get him at the right time. But when the fight was announced, in this weight division, those sort of fighters are still good enough to beat anyone.
Yeah.
So it's horrible. So, but when I first thought this was announced, I thought, oh, that's a mistake, man. That's my first thought. Oh, that's a massive. I mean, so we're taking the steps up, but that's a massive leap of faith. And Dalton looks fantastic, and he got all the potential to get to the top, depending on who's there at the time. Right now, we can't beat the guys who are at the top, but they might not be there for much longer, and he might be able to sneak in somewhere. But he's potentially world class. But I thought that's a big step up. That's too much of a step up. Like Zepeda does really well when he throws a 1-2 southpaw jab, left cross. Once he throws that jab, once he's going like that, if you're in the way, you're done.
Jose Vargas.
Oh mate, he throws that. He has a knack of throwing it, but he rolls his shoulder with the left hand, and it sort of he makes the punch. Although it's straight and long, so he doesn't lift the elbow up like a Golovkin type and chops down you,
down,
but he does it in the same sort of way. He uses the shoulder to sort of arc the punch over, so he gets you like that on the end of it, like that. Every time he gets him a brand check. I think it was only a one shot there, one of a brand check, but I mean, he gets you with a long left hand, you're done. And usually it's a nice smooth 1-2 he does with it, so he sort of disguises you with a jab, and it's very fluent. And that's where I think Dalton could walk into one of those. And this is a guy who can hit. I think.
He's got 28 knockouts and 37 wins.
I tell you, it's a real. But as the fights got closer, we usually started to lose your bottle a bit more. I'd be more comfortable. And I think that Richardson Hitchens fight is a real good indicator of how you have to control the space with him and not be greedy. Now he might not have the same jab as Hitchens, but I think he can, with his feet, if he doesn't get too greedy, he can. I think you just got to be comfortable, not trying to over impress. Just get the win. I'm swearing that all lately. Just get the win. Don't worry about trying it, because this is just this is a fight that you need the name on the record. The performance, you get a great performance, and Eddie Hearn will watch this and go, he ain't working for me, the zone again. But the performance, you want a great performance. But I mean, but having that name on that win on your record is enough. Yeah. You don't want to be put in deep waters with him. You don't want to be getting whacked with that long left hand by him, because you might not be able to recover, because he'll know how to finish you. And also, you might drop him. But if I can get him, knock you out. He's ticked all those boxes. We talk about it all the time, but he's ticked all. We talk about today. He's ticked all those boxes. He's a dangerous guy. But Richardson Hitchens was very disciplined and jab, and then when I throw another jab, and don't take any silly risks, and then let him reach for me, and then go bam bam, and use your footwork. That semicircle, spinning, twisting, jab all the time. Don't ever get too greedy with your work with him. And I think that's a sensible approach, and I do fancy him to win now. But when it first got announced, I thought, they've made him fucking balls up here, desperate to get him a fight, desperate to get him a name, desperate to push him up. But they just picked the wrong guy. That was my first thought, and usually my first thought is the one I stick with. But I've changed my mind, because I'm working on the broadcast.
But maybe
and I match him all the way. No, I think no, seriously, I do think he can. I think if he's disciplined, then he can put on. He can put on a really good performance and win quite, never comfortable, but quite wide. But if he sees the opportunity and goes for it, when Zepeda's not looking like he's hurt, because
I don't see him doing that, Dalton. Though
I know,
I don't see him doing that. I do feel like
McCann's having trouble then.
I do feel like he's one of these guys who is capable of kind of raising his level and boxes to the level of his opponent quite a lot. I think those British title defences for him were probably pretty uninspiring, and that might be why he didn't really do the business overall generally in the way that you would probably like him to, if you think he's going to go on and become a world champion. But I do think that he is one of those who he will rise to the occasion. I saw him do it the very first time I saw him box, actually, which was in the WSB finals in Tashkent in 2016, and they took about 3 or 4 of the fighters who qualified for the Olympics. I think Galal was there, Mo Ali was there, Akoli was there. I think that might have been it, actually. And then everybody else, they, throughout the whole of that tournament, they gave chances to the kind of number 2s. And he was there, and he was boxing Yasniel Toledo, who, fucking hell, just like a multi-decorated, hundreds of fights Cuban. And he just boxed really well. And he lost, but not by much. I remember thinking to myself, and he was just very, very composed all
Got
week.
great balance, haven't he?
Yeah,
Smith.
he just everything
Good
about
balance.
him, just the way he was around the hotel. He did a couple of interviews, had a quick chat with him because I didn't know him. And he just seemed very at home with it all, and then seemed very at home with it in the ring as well. And I think that's him. That's him.
And I think like you make a good point there. Billy Allington performance wasn't his best, far from it. And I feel like he has needed something to just, and particularly at the minute at super lightweight as well. You've got all of these hotshot lightweights coming in to 140 pounds. You've got Matthias. You've got all of these other guys in and around there. You need to do something to put your flag in the sand. You know, he can beat Jose Zepeda and turn around to Adam Azim and go, I can beat Jose Zepeda.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What have you got?
Yeah, exactly. And this is very much one of those. It's funny you should say that, actually, about him wanting the challenges. So I can't remember what fight it was. It was on like a car back from the Sheffield Arena with him, and the conversation about world champions or something had come up in the division, and I made a real stupid error where I said, "Oh yeah, Subriel Matthias, so you don't want to fight him," and he went, "Why not?" And I went, it was all like, oh shit, he doesn't.
We've all done that.
Yeah.
So.
I went, why not? He's like, I'll fight him. I'll beat him. And I was like,
Yeah.
He just sat across from him, he's doing his stitches and stuff like that. So I mean, the point is that like he, like every other fighter, is not just isolated in that. Will be looking at this Zepeda fight, and he would have heard people saying and people discussing it and saying, "Oh, it's a really hard fight," you know. And that's something that you didn't really have in those other. Even the Sam Maxwell fight, with respect to Sam Maxwell, it was kind of okay. Well, what can you do with him? Like you were judging it on how he beat Sam Maxwell, not if he beat Sam Maxwell.
All his fights have been about how he gets on.
You learn more from this fight than you do from the 15 fights that he's had previously.
Let's say he doesn't win, but he gets put down, gets up, a close fight, good fight. Is it a complete disaster? I mean, it's not what they want, obviously, but if he's not outclassed or found lacking in the desire or willpower department, and it's just a really good close fight, maybe he does it slightly wrong, makes some mistakes, goes over, gets up, and there's things to look back on where you think, oh, okay, well that was, I did that wrong and I did that wrong, but I still almost won. It's not, that wouldn't be. It's not terminal, is it? No.
I think if
he'll feel it. At the
it
time.
will, of course, but it wouldn't be.
If he doesn't try and see, I'm going to go with it. I think you should stamp your authority. If he doesn't try too hard to push him back too quick, I think if he boxes sensible, especially early, then I think he got all of the attributes to put on a really good performance. I think and win comfortable. But I wouldn't go search for that. He's going to go search for that knockout. That's my worry. He's going to go search, and maybe he should. I mean, the promoter would be saying, "Fucking go search for the knockout." But I mean, there's a risk attached to that. But there's a risk attached to it for everyone who does that. But I think against this guy, there's a real risk. I think you just outbox him, and see if the older guy, naturally smaller guy, if he just starts to slow a little bit, just see it. So you got to watch out for that 1-2, that southpaw 1-2. You got to watch out for that. If he gets on the end of that left hand, Dalton Smith, he's going to be hurt. He might cope with it great. I don't know, but that's the worry for me for him. Don't fire with him. Fire before him, fire after him. Go first and third, whatever you want to call it. But do that. Don't go with him. I think because he throws right. He throws really neat down the middle as well, doesn't he? Zepeda, really clean, punches inside his body frame. He's technically quite good with that. And once he lets it, he believes and he lets it go smooth. So it's hard to read as well because of that. You think it's because it's quite simple, you'd see it, but he gets on target every time. So I just think if you box sensible, I do think you'll win. I said when the fight was announced, I thought, oh, they've made a mistake here. He's not past his sell-by date, and he can bang, and he's tough, and he can box. He's dangerous. He's a southpaw. I think he ticks all the wrong boxes for you. If anyone want to fight for your first real step up.
I was thinking so as well, because if it would have been somebody in between sort of the level that Dalton Swift's been boxed, that would have been British level, but in between British and world level, if it had been anyone in between there, everyone would go, yeah, that's fine.
He's boxing Paulson.
Yeah.
That's a massive. That's a step up for him. It's a hard fight, but no, before Adam Azim, of course, them do Adam Azim this, but you just go. But Dalton, if Dalton's on form, he takes that kid to school. That's what you think. But you don't feel that with Zepeda. You think, no. I think he'll win. I think it'll be a stand-up performance from him. I really believe. I don't know why. I just think he will. I watched the Hitchinson fight again, And I thought, you know what, I enjoyed that performance from Richard.
Yeah,
Hitchens.
same. I really like watching Richard Hitchens. I think he's the dark horse.
But I think, and I don't think Dalton's at his level either yet. But I think, but they might be rivals. They should be rivals. But I think he can do similar, not the same way, but similar sort of thing. I think he can dominate that way. But he has to be controlled like Hitchinson was. He has to be very controlled and disciplined and not get carried away when he lands with a good shot. Don't go crazy on it. And I don't know whether he will. That's the worry there.
You're going to find out an awful lot.
It's a really good fight.
I mean,
really
what you just outlined,
live on DAZN.
What you just outlined there, though, those are the qualities that he does have. He's got really good composure, old head on young shoulders, all that kind of thing. That he's got that. He's always had that. I've always been really confident in him that he would definitely get to world title level, and at that point, it depends who else is around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I've always felt like he would win a world title, and I haven't changed my mind. I mean, in a way, he is kind of missing out a couple of levels here that we were just talking about, and how that can be dangerous.
But he has done the
domestic-ish. I don't feel that nervous about this. I feel like if he loses, it'll be because he makes some mistakes that are kind of easy to explain to himself, repairable. But I don't really expect him to make them.
It's also
that doesn't mean he won't lose, because if Zepeda just really turns it on and has a really good night, then he could beat him.
The thing we go with Dalton Smith, because he has such great balance, so you think, on his day he can just like play with a lot of people. But what Zepeda can do is get you off track. I think that his experience and again the way he punches. I think we haven't really seen Dalton be pushed off balance enough to see what he's like when he's been a bit of panic put on him.
No, that's a really good point. I've never seen him panicked really.
And maybe there's not. At some point, that's going to happen. Because
it will happen.
This thing's not going to work for you. And I don't just mean being outboxed. I mean being ruffled, bullied, hit with hard shots, and pushing you back. The things like that, which we've got to find out. We might not find out Saturday. We'll find out at some point in his career, and I'm sure he'll go through his flying colours. Or they might watch this, his dad, and people go, "We've seen it in the gym. We've seen it as an amateur. They've seen that. I haven't seen it, but because he has such great balance, it's easy to fall in love with him. Do you know what I mean? Because you're like, oh yeah, he's brilliant. Because I have watched him go, he's great. And then he fights a Billy Allington, who did really well, by the way. Billy Allington, let's not forget that. But you just go, oh, that's why you're disappointed in him. Because you go in, oh, you should have done so much more if you could have. But again, I think that also that control that he showed there, he's not doing enough. Maybe might help him in this fight.
Yeah. That kind of thing on the way up, it can be a bit of a problem, because you walk away from a fight thinking, rather than win 12-0, why didn't you just try and get the stoppage? And on the way up, it can be a bit frustrating. But then when you get there, it's not frustrating anymore, because it's just about winning then. But that's all it's about.
But he got the Sam Maxwell knockout, didn't he?
Yeah.
That'll be in his that'll fill him full of confidence. Think, if I
yeah, that came at a good time, didn't it?
Or a bad time for this fight. It might be a fight. It might be a fight where he takes that risk. I know what I can do now.
Also, another point to mention is that was on the 1st of July last year.
Yeah, it's a long break.
Since.
Yeah.
But he had very serious.
He'd had 4 in 11 months, so hadn't he?
Yeah. But I mean, certainly from my perspective, it's not ideal to have. I mean, what will that be? 10 months ish? No, 9-10 months. And then into your hardest fight.
Yeah. But things are rarely ideal, are they?
No, for sure. And again, this doesn't mean I do feel like Dalton Smith will win.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. But I think this is fraught with danger, and I felt like, I can say this because he's my mate. But
who's your mate?
Tom Dallas, who's the matchmaker, who's put this together.
Well done, Tom.
If this goes wrong, Tom, people are going to be asking questions of the matchmaker.
The thing is with matchmaking, matchmaking is the worst.
Such a thankless task, and
because
he'll really not
you get
thank
it
me for saying
perfect,
that
or you fucked up, haven't you? That's the thing.
He's all right.
Or people think it's gone are the times where the whole build can just be like 80%, 20%. Now, thank God, those times are past us. You're still going to get that with learning fights, but ultimately, you're going to get fights like this where someone's stepping up. Zepeda should be a favourite. That's the truth of it. I think outside of the UK, he probably will be. Here he won't be, because Dalton's our guy and he's the one we're building, and we see the star potential in him. But outside of the UK, they're going to go, yeah, he looks alright, but who's he boxed? That's the
Yeah,
truth.
and that's a fair
One
thing to
question
say.
for
And Zepeda will be thinking the same. This is a gift for me. I'm getting this kid green. He might be right. But we just think that Dalton on his day, as brilliant as he can be, and I think he can, will get it right.
let's say Dalton Smith wins this weekend. I think we're all predicting that he does. Admittedly, with those points considered,
He's not going to be happy about that, is he?
when next, I think this speaks volumes about the fact that this is a really serious fight. And look, we've all had to. We're not going to name any names for any fights.
No,
we've all had to sit here and go, well, you never know. For some prospects versus in step up fights, this is as legitimate as you could get. So to highlight the points around it, all the while. If Dalton Smith wins, he gets a massive pat on the back from us because we're not sitting there going, well, he should be, Zepeda, he lost his last couple, he should be doing a job on this guy. As I've seen some people saying on social media, and it's just like, mate, no, because if he does win, then you go, well, you're supposed to do that. No, that's not how things work. We're bigging up the dangers of Jose Zepeda, and if Dalton Smith beats him, he gets huge credit for it.
No,
and he deserves huge credit for it. You can't have it both ways.
No, you can't.
And that's why the Adam Mazin fight never happens, because if he's gone way past that European level, then straight away, he's literally, if Dalton Smith would be in a position where I wouldn't want to be in.
We think the Hitchens fight with Zepeda, his next fight against Gustavo Lemos is a world title final eliminator. Yeah. So that shows the level of beating a Jose Zepeda, puts you in there for a final eliminator. It's a WBC silver title, so it gives you But
look at the fighters he got around him. Who does he box next?
Well, this is the question that I was going to have, because we've talked about the levels, and it's in a sense of if he beats Zepeda, if he were to lose to Zepeda or not perform against Zepeda, it's not you've been thrown in for a world title or whatever, and there are lessons that you can learn. But if you win, it presents a different.
Oh, it's a horrible position.
Yeah, a different predicament, because you are there.
That's it. You're up through that bottleneck then.
Yeah, and then after that, we've spoken about it already with Zach Parker, and I know Dalton Smith is slightly earlier in his career than Zach Parker, but after that, who you could box next? Jose Ramirez,
Well, that's what I mean. Well, you're looking. Well, actually, and who's the other one? Prograis all of a sudden.
Yeah,
he hasn't got a title.
And that is
Prograis, who probably is after the Heaney fight. No, I can say might be at the end of a really long, not really that long, but a grueling career because of the way he fights. So you think, man, who's not I haven't got the fastest of feet, so I could outthink him and outbox him. But he was a world champion until the other week. You know what I mean? And that was a fight you wouldn't have done, not ready for him yet. Where's your door? You're not.
It is a very ambitious, interesting bit of matchmaking. It really is.
You're fighting for the world title. It's a little bit like not quite Nick Ball boxing Ray Vargas. It's like you win a world title. Yeah, you're not having easy pickings. Yeah, you're boxing like a genuine bona fide world champion who's world class. Not like some of us.
But even Nick Ball had the Isaac Dogbe fight.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So
this is.
I said he had. I always go about the McGuigan's. Don't I? always go he had his Laporte Pedrosa. That was that sort of fight. Branchek for Apostle for Branchek with Josh Taylor. Those the real world class fight before you box for the world title.
It's very interesting.
But this is what this is.
But none of us are saying.
But
the interesting thing is that we've been talking about it for a few minutes now and going to and fro and the pros and cons, but none of us are saying that it's definitely the wrong thing to do, are we?
No, and that's where boxing doesn't make any. There's no such science in boxing because
I don't think it's the wrong thing to do. It's bold, but
it's a big step.
But I do feel relatively confident.
It's sort of like we said before. If it would have been somebody in between, I don't think anybody could have. I think everyone was like, that's good fight. Yeah. Anthony Yiggett.
Yes.
That's good. European box for a world title, but I think this is just that one above.
Oh no, absolutely it is. So but just
certainly not going to complain about it.
No, and
at the same time, I moaned about Zach Parker going jumping levels. It's weird, isn't it? It's because it's not every route for every fighter, is it? No, that's the difference.
It's what gives us 2 hours plus to talk about.
That's what makes boxing.
But it's what you see how they perform in the ring. If you think whether they're ready for that step, it's not always dominating the fight. It's how you manage a fight. I do think Dalton can manage a fight quite well. I think.
If he had pressure, or if he'd had Enoch Paulson or say Frank Petitjean, I'd have been 100% confident that he would win. To the point where, not that I wouldn't want to watch it, but to the point where, for me, it's just a foregone conclusion.
How does he do it?
Is there any point in that, really? Is what you got to wonder.
But no, you're right. No, actually, you have a real valid point. Because I sort of think, but you still want to see it. because we think it, but you see it cements you, and it cements you as a fighter because you know. Like I boxed a kid called Davies, he won a European title, but like I didn't offer the, but that was a step up for me, and it was still my best win to date. Actually, no one ever heard of him, but that was a hard win. That was a good win, but that gave me so much belief, even though it wasn't a great performance because my fights were shit to watch. But I mean, like I beat him, and I remember he hit me in the 11th round, took all the wind out of me, but I survived, and I won quite relatively comfortable on points. But I knew where I was after that fight. You know what I mean? I knew actually. I always think you're good and you're winning things. And I thought actually no, I just beat. I knew I beat a really good fighter there. It was dangerous, and then after he did better things after I beat him, which helped me even more. But I mean, I knew. And after that, there was no real worry about what was coming next. Even if I was put out of my level and got beat up, there was no real worry because I thought actually I know now I can step up and deliver.
I think really what we've kind of probably concluded here is that if there had been someone else not quite as good as Zepeda but probably better than Paulson or Yigit, then that would be the ideal person for him to fight. But who is that?
I think somebody like
just made him
up.
Up. Yigit's a perfect example.
I wouldn't really have seen a point of that, especially for him.
Inspiring.
If I'm honest.
But
I'm contradicting myself. But I'm contradicting myself because, back to my exam analogy, like what's wrong with taking a pretty, what people respect as being a decent level exam and pissing it? What's wrong with doing that? It's what you should do. It's what I said 20 minutes ago you should do. So there we go.
But listen, if he passes his test though, he's proved he's one of those fighters that can skip levels. Yeah. And that's the thing. The matchmaking, Tom Dallas, you get this right and you're a genius and you've proved how good he is, and if it's not, it's a step too far, isn't it?
If it's not, you need a new job. Anyway, moving on. Ishmael Davies versus Troy Williamson. We're going to have to go through these two fights relatively quickly. Really good fight, Ishmael Davies versus Troy Williamson. Didn't know an awful lot about Ishmael Davies. It was very impressive him last time out. Obviously, we all know Troy Williamson's boxed at a very good level throughout his career. Come up short against Kevin Agyarko, of course. And I'm looking forward to this one. Another fight where in somebody in Ishmael Davies, that's a sizable step up on the competition that he's faced so far. For me, it's pretty much a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, I make you right there. It's we've had quite a lot of these recently, and we had a good few on the Saudi card where you've got one fighter who's got really quite a lot more experience than the other one. Yeah. And when you look at body of work and what they've actually done, then if you do it the way I do it, then you have to install them as favourite. But you're absolutely aware that the other fighter is there because there's a lot of belief in them that this is the perfect next step for them, and on the night we'll find out.
Product versus promise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those, and I'm a big fan of those. I'm not sure which way I'll lean with that one, to be honest. I probably haven't really seen enough of Davies to be able to reach a firm conclusion on it.
There's not that much to see of him. He's boxed 1 10-rounder against Ewan McKenzie last time out.
Good fight, that. For that.
It was a good fight.
Great comment.
Dug away, and then got him out of there. But other than that, I mean, he's boxed some very familiar names to us on the circuit. Obviously, Darryl Sharp, Gabor Gorbix, but this is a big step up, Barry.
It is. I think that my worry, Troy Williams should be a massive favourite, and Troy Williams should win. But I think Troy Williamson has just got himself in a position where he's become a one-trick pony. That sounds a really bad thing to say. One-dimensional he's become. And I don't think he was that, but he was always an aggressive fighter who do the basics quite well, where and always look to put pressure on you. But I think now he comes in straight lines, not one-trick pony. He's too much in straight lines, Williamson. I think that's the Agyarko fight was clear. It was massively highlighted against Josh Kelly, of course, but that was Josh Kelly at his very best, I think. But I think that's where Ishmael Davies has maybe a real good chance to turn it around and have his best win by a million miles, because Williamson will come at him. But I think he's dining out on strength too much at the minute. For me, and he's just going in straight lines, and I mean that makes it quite not easy but more comfortable for you to use that semicircle like I always talk about to allay him and fire back, and I think Ishmael Davies can do that quite effectively, but he's never been at this level. So if it's a difficult one. I think if Williamson could throw before don't try and get too close and let his hands go and move forward behind that, then he'll have more success. He might get the youngster, trying to lean back on that little shoulder roll and get over the top of him and smother him. But if he wants to get his feet too close, he'll allow Davies just to flick that jab out and spin around, and I think he'll have a hard night. So I'm going with promise on this one rather than product. I'm not quite sure why. Because again, in his last fight against McKenzie, he was throwing the quality work, but he was being outworked quite a lot as well in that fight. It's just the quality of his work was better and the weight of his shot. But I imagine towards I'm sort of going against my line. I think I've done that quite a lot lately.
I've done it quite a lot for this episode. It's been good.
3 times
What's
today.
that?
Yeah, it's good. We've done it quite a lot this episode. It's good.
Yeah.
I just,
nothing like contradicting yourself, is there?
yeah, no, it's just a feel. I just think I think the kid has got a little bit of something, but this a tell. I've been a big fan of Troy Williamson. I remember. I worked some of his fights years ago on other promoters' shows, and I always thought he hasn't quite produced what I thought he would produce. I thought he was going to be a better fighter. I'm not sure whether he was a middleweight and he should have been light middleweight. And
this is one of the things that
I think he should have been a middleweight. He went down to light middleweight.
Yes,
I think he made a mistake.
He's been at that
Fowler
weight
did the
for
same thing.
Yeah,
he's been at that weight now as a pro for a long time.
Yeah, I think he made a mistake
and talked a lot about moving up.
Do you know what? I think I said to him one night in Newcastle, "You're a middleweight." I think he boxed a middleweight. I said, "You're a middleweight." I think I said that to him, or did I say you should go down light middle? I can't remember. I mean, it's either my fault or he didn't listen to me. But either way, I just think that. I think at one point I thought, he'd still be strong, but he'd have a bit more speed in his work, and he was a little bit more intelligent, I thought. And I think now he's so like, he forgets what's coming back. He's just looking to just wear you down. Am I right with that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I always thought he should have been a middleweight, and I thought Fowler should have been a middleweight as well. And it's, if you're really dedicated like they both are, and you can make super welterweight on a Friday, then that's what people do, isn't it? But I never thought they should have.
Yeah, it doesn't always mean that it's what you should do.
Yeah, so I go with Davies, but I don't. Yeah, but really, Williamson should be the favourite. If Williamson go out and dominate really quick early, especially where Davies should have his more success because he picks his punches well and he's snappy with the shots. And he can throw before he gets too close. He wants to get that front foot too close too often, Williamson, and that's the worry here, that he does that and gets picked off and span around. If he throws before he gets that front foot too close, then I think you'll put the young, inexperienced fighter under pressure, and he might put him in a fight he hasn't been in before. Then Williamson should dominate. Then, but I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to go the way he did against Ayala and try and just go right at him, but too much is. If it's going to be too square, too in straight lines, and he'll be picked off.
Okay, final fight for us to discuss ahead of this weekend is the WBO Women's Welterweight World Title, and on the line, of course, held by Sandy Ryan as she takes on Terri Harper. Sort of a fight, I don't know why, feels like we've obviously watched all of their careers, but for some reason I just never anticipated them fighting each other. Obviously we've had Terri Harper, super featherweight, super welterweight. Now they've kind of met around here. But for some reason, despite having watched all of their careers, I'm not really sure what to expect in that fight come the weekend. I think Sandy Ryan is the naturally bigger fighter, despite not boxing at super welterweight. Obviously very difficult with the female code jumping up and down in the weight classes. But a good fight I'm expecting this weekend.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking forward to this since it was made. It can be a bit confusing in terms of trying to work out who is actually the bigger fighter, because we saw it recently with Jonas and Mayer at welterweight, and you kind of assumed that Jonas would be the physically bigger of the two, or if you looked at it on paper you would assume how could she not be, because she boxed at super welter, but on the night she was 10 stone 9 and Mayer was 11 stone, having come up from super featherweight over the course of a couple of fights. So that is a tricky thing to try and evaluate, to the point where you may as well just not bother and wait and watch the fight and see what happens, and draw your conclusions that way.
Let's go on then.
To be honest, is often the best way to do
it's
anything.
also very similar, sorry to jump in, from when Terri Harper boxed Cecilia Braekhus, where Cecilia Braekhus career welterweight.
Yeah.
But I'm speaking to Jonathan Banks beforehand. He's like, no, she's going to be the bigger one because she's the one who's boxed at super welter. You can sort of tell that he's in his head she's not going to be. And then when they got in there at the ring, the fact that Cecilia Braekhus has been a welterweight for 20 odd years or whatever it was, visibly showed, didn't it?
Yeah,
that
of course.
Natural size is different.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandy Ryan's been there her whole career, I think, hasn't she? At that weight, or boxed at the weight below,
40,
I think, for a bit. But so she's gradually kind of inched her way up into that division, and I think I've been impressed with what she's done, because they put her in early against Anahi Sanchez, over 10 rounds, didn't get it, but put her straight back in again, which was the right thing to do. But it meant that Farias, Farias, and that got her some good seasoning early on. So she was unlucky against McCaskill. I thought she won that fight against McCaskill. And McCaskill is, it's a bit disrespectful to describe an undisputed champion, a former undisputed champion and a 2-weight champion, as being a handful, but she absolutely is. You know, you kind of know what you're going to get from her. And what that is going to be is a very demanding fight, but I think she did enough to win that fight. Okay, it went down as a draw, but in terms of, I was going to say their biggest wins, it wasn't a win. But then when you look at Harper, her biggest fights against Jonas, Breckus and Baumgartner, that's 2 draws and a loss, and she's yet to get over the line in one of those really big fights. But you can say the same of Ryan, because although we felt she was unlucky against McCaskill, it was still a draw. So it's really, really big for the pair of them.
Barry, how did you see the fight playing out?
Yeah. I fancy Ryan by stoppage. Whoa. I do. I would say something about Harper. I thought, yes, I'll move up in weight and all that. But then I saw that, I can't remember where we were, her legs, massive.
Yeah.
Like a buttocks and a thighs and all that. But I mean,
watching female fighters just kind of go across these weights is absolutely wild, because I know that, you know, physiologically, if you talk to physios, they will kind of explain, most of it went over my head, as to why it is that they're just more, it's just not as much of a thing to go across weight divisions. But you kind of feel like they're going to be carrying some kind of spare if you move up 24 pounds. Yeah. And then they almost look quite tight at super welterweight. I mean,
it's just that's what I mean. Like, I've seen her leg. I don't know whether, I never noticed that before. Maybe she was always like that, but I thought, what, like, how did she make super feather?
Yeah.
The bottom half like that. It was full of muscle, by the way, but it's like, the size of her legs. I know you should remember Naz, the size of his legs go like, he's like a 5-foot featherweight. Yeah, then why? Look at his legs from the waist down. They're like legs like rugby players, and she's a bit like that. I thought, well, no wonder she's moved up the super welter. She needed to, but or she put that weight on, and then put the right weight on rather than just bulk up top. I don't know, but yeah, I just think when she gets caught, Harper's got more experience, and I liked her at super featherweight. I thought she had really good movement and was nice and fast and in and out with the punches and correct. I'm not so sure though. I just think I think when she gets caught, she panics.
Yeah, I agree. There's a vulnerability.
I'm not going back to the Baumgartner shot. I'm not, just in general, she panics when she gets hit, I think. And maybe she just shows the face she gets panicked. Maybe it's just an expression, but I think she does panic a bit. And I just think Ryan, being an actually bigger girl who will commit to her shots, I think if she lands long and early, I think Harper will panic and unravel.
Sandy Ryan does have that mean streak about her as well, doesn't she? She does,
but can get in trouble though.
Yeah.
I think that'll, like, you know, I want to do all this, like, you know, I'm going to take your head off stuff, and she closes the distance. You know, Harper could be more mobile and get in and out and sort of like smash and grab. So I think if she tries to just literally bully her behind a long jab and a long right hand, and just, you know, do really basic fundamentals really well long, I wouldn't worry about going to the body too much. Just you hit it on the chin early and as often you can. And just see if Harper panics. I think very early. I think it's important to hit Harper early. I might be talking my back end. I just what I think I've seen. I forget about the Baumgartner. I think that was just a great chop. I just think every time I've seen her get caught with a good shot, no one likes it. She doesn't like it. No one likes it. But I mean, she makes it obvious she doesn't like it. You know what I mean? You can see it in her face. Oh shit, I didn't like that. That's not a good sign. And if you see that, you got to go again. Because if you see that, the referee's seen that. and you don't have to really hurt someone to stop them. And I still think the women's game is still a little bit. I still think referees are a little bit quick on the draw sometimes if they get hurt. Maybe they shouldn't be. I don't know, but I mean they're still a little bit. You see a woman getting pounded on, see a woman getting beat up in the corner. The referees jumping quicker than they do with some men's fight, I think. And use actually an advantage. I stopped loads of people as an amateur. I never hurt them. I just threw loads of punches, and the referee had to step in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm going with Sandy Ryan by stoppage. I think it's a bold pick. I do.
Yeah, that is in 10-2s. That is always a bold pick.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to do the predictions now anyway. So
predictions?
we'll go back through.
I'm not involved in it. I do my prediction.
No, you're going to do them.
What's
it's
the
just
podcast?
like we do every week. We're going to do the predictions. No, because we don't do the prediction part of the podcast now. We just do this, which is download. Well, we don't download it because we already got it. The Boxing News Predict and Score app. As we go through our predictions, can we get one from Andy Clarke? We can get one from Andy Clarke this weekend. He's not going to be working. Brilliant.
2 weekends in a row. What
there
a treat.
we go. There we go. Right. Okay. So just getting the Boxing News Predict and Score app ready now as we look ahead to Smith versus Zepeda this weekend. Just waiting for it to be fair, the signal's rubbish up here. So
it won't load up his app.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, right.
It's not going brilliantly.
Okay, so we're ready. We're not, but I know what to do anyway. So just pretend that it's working on the app. But anyway, so Andy, going to start with you. Dalton Smith versus Jose Zepeda.
Smith points. Couple of rough passages to ride out, but I think he's good enough, and I think he's got the mentality and the composure to handle the occasion and get the win.
Can you put it on the app?
Sandy Ryan versus Terri Harper.
I think Sandy Ryan. I think points though.
Ishmael Davies, Troy Williamson.
My own logic dictates that I've got to pick Troy Williamson there. I haven't seen enough of Davies, so I'll go Williamson. I'll throw a little bit of a bold one out there and say Williamson stoppage then.
That's not that bold. I don't think.
And a fight that we haven't discussed: James Flint versus Campbell Hatton.
Is that for an area title? It is, isn't it?
Central area title.
I don't know much about James Flint. I must admit. Is he the champion, James Flint?
Yes.
This is a bit of a toss of a coin because, if I'm honest, I don't really know anything about James Flint at all. So I'll say James Flint if he's the champion.
Points?
Yeah, points. But full disclosure, I don't know anything about James Flint.
When we make the edit, we won't include that. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I'm going to go to Barry.
Fucking edit. Yeah,
Dalton Smith versus Jose Zepeda, Barry.
We do edit some things I've said. I think Smith on points. I don't need a big explanation. Watch the pod.
There we go. Sandy Ryan versus Terri Harper.
Ryan stoppage.
Ishmael Davies versus Troy Williamson.
Davies points.
That could really go any number of ways, couldn't it? James Flint versus Campbell Hatton.
I think Campbell's going to be too busy for him, to be honest. But that's points, and that's close.
There we go. Don't forget, you can get your predictions in on the Boxing News app, available now on the Apple Store and the Play Store. Right, guys, we've managed to safely navigate another episode.
What about you?
Oh shit! Do I have? Okay, I'll do mine now. I was going to do mine previously.
Remember, you used to volunteer.
Well, because
your picks and no one cared.
It's because we're not. Because we'll cut yours up and I'll do my own one. But I can do mine now. If people,
you don't
give a shit. Dalton Smith versus Jose Zepeda. I will go with Dalton Smith points. Sandy Ryan versus Terri Harper. I go for Sandy Ryan points. Ishmael Davies versus Troy Williamson. Ooh.
See, this is why I didn't want to do it.
Really hard, yeah.
Because common sense says Williamson.
Yeah,
it
does, really does, yeah.
It's only what I've said, isn't it? Pretty much.
Ishmael Davies is looked after by Sonny Edwards.
Fucking changed my mind then.
What
Williamson knockout.
Who Sonny Edwards also knows Troy Williamson very well.
Yep.
So in order to make this fight, one would assume that he's confident in that. So I'll go for Williamson. No, I'm joking. I'm going to go for... it's a hard one, that. It really does, particularly seeing as, bless you, I'm the person who's gone through Ishmael Davis's record and seen that he's boxed 1 10-rounder, and you think about all of the fights that Troy Williamson's been in.
And all that amateur experience.
Yeah. But I'm going to, a massive leap of faith, I'm going to go for Ishmael Davis by stoppage.
Okay.
What?
Okay. So we've got 3 different predictions for that one.
Yeah, I'll go for Ishmael Davis by stoppage. James Flint versus Campbell Hatton. I'm going to go for Campbell Hatton points. So yeah, a good little spread among the boxing show panel. Don't forget to get your predictions in on the boxing app, the boxing news app. It's going to be eventually called the boxing app. That's what I'm calling it now. But anyway, but yes, thanks very much for joining us. Thanks very much to our esteemed panel of guests, Mr. Barry Jones and Mr. Andy Clarke, for joining us for another episode of the award-winning combat sports podcast, The Boxing Show. Don't forget to get your predictions in this weekend. Download the Boxing News app now, and we'll see you next time.